Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
Talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery's joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then
and
then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Tuesday edition of the program. Bo, the boys with you for the next three. Austin going to drop by at 9:30. His thoughts on day one of Buckeye spring football yesterday. We'll hit you with the real truth at 10 o'clock. Uncle Dom going to stop by at 10:30. Some changes, an idea for change in spring football from Coach Prime that just might work. I think it just might. We will get to that a little bit later in the program as well. I got to be very honest with you guys. I am on Thursday flying to California for spring break. The reason we're flying Thursday as opposed to Saturday is because it's about $1,000 a person cheaper, is the reality of it. And the idea being that I'd rather have kids age 7, 5, and 7th grade, 5th grade, 3rd grade miss 2 days of school than be charged an extra $5,000 on a flight. So that's the reality of it. My hunch is many will do similar, as it's become incredibly prohibitive to be able to fly in this country at any sort of reasonable rate. So those of you that are doing it, my hunch is most are, if you have spring break next week as we do, my guess is most are not flying on Saturday.
And
so you either have to make a choice, Reese. You either got to do it Thursday or Friday. Now, Friday even starts to get dicey, or you need to wait through the rush and do it Sunday, Monday.
Now, those days before spring break, like the Thursday and most of the Fridays, are when the teacher's wheeling in the VCR.
They have to be.
You're not doing it anymore. Obviously, you've got probably a TV in your classroom that's mounted in a corner that you're just plugging away some video anyhow. But
I would think
any re-alerting, like Hayes in the barn there, guys.
I don't think you're having. I mean, there might be a teacher or two that tries a spring a test, right? But I don't
That's
even
just
think
mean.
I don't think you can even do that anymore. I think that you kind of just punt on the last couple of days heading into spring break is kind of my guess on how it's going to go.
So really, you're doing the teachers of your 3 children a favor, a massive favor.
You said it. That's exactly right. I mean, ball's not going to spike itself, so I'm glad you spiked it for me. The other thing, this is also my time of year where I like to mention that it might behoove Ohio to change their spring break. Let's zag here, man. Instead of doing it in March, maybe middle of April, or maybe just do it when you really need it, the second week of February. That's when you really need it. Do spring break then. You'll be able to fly anywhere in the country for $8 at that time of year. This time of year, it's death. There's just no chance. Everything's overbooked. It's a nightmare. I've had anxiety about flying there, and I've had 1,010,000 things go wrong in flight. I've started having anxiety for them since Sunday. Already starting to stack. Now the good news is we're direct to LA Thursday morning. So knock on wood, that has to go. That's there's not a connection I'm going to miss. We did decide for next Thursday on the return trip to red eye it back from the desert through Chicago. So I don't anticipate that going particularly well with a bunch of children on a red eye. We did that last year coming back from Hawaii, and it was a mess. Took 2 weeks for anybody to get locked in again. So I know what's ahead of me, but all of that to say, you're going to get C+ efforts out of me the next 2 days at best. I got my head elsewhere, so C+ effort. I'll do the best I can. Hell, I might even do a little baseball here. Did they start baseball? They did.
Officially, the season has begun.
Yeah.
And congratulations to you and yours for starting the season 1-0.
Yeah. These Dodgers do not at all resemble the Dodgers of my youth. where they've just basically become the Yankees. And obviously, as is well documented here on the show, I've lost track of baseball the way that I used to pay attention to it. So this is now customary. You've been seeing this for a while, where you have this early season start in Japan and you get it going. I suppose the Dodgers now, they're on pace to go 162-0, just 161 more. And based on the roster, that seems reasonable. I mean, no Mookie Betts to start this thing, no problem. Keep rolling, nothing to see here.
No Freddie Freeman, no big deal.
Doesn't matter. Just go buy another one.
Ohtani's the MVP already.
Just give it to him. Deservedly so. Is he going to pitch this year?
He's expected to later in the season.
Okay.
So I think, and you're going to see, I don't know how many games ESPN has, but whoever's in charge of marketing for Major League Baseball is going to do like a 3-4 week ramp up to one game Ohtani pitches.
So when Travis Hunter said a couple of weeks ago, like what he's going to try to do in the NFL is more difficult than what Ohtani does in baseball, I just laughed.
Nothing is more difficult in sport than pitching and hitting at all-star levels.
If the last guy to do it at a level, an elite level like this, is Babe flippin' Ruth, then you don't have an argument. That's it. Like, you can't come to me and talk to me about what I'm going to do is harder. No, it's not. This is it. This is the hardest thing that's ever been done. I think it's stupefying that he's been doing it this long. I think it's crazy how good he is at it. That he's the best hitter in baseball, and is he a top 10 pitcher when healthy? Is that
yes?
Probably
15?
is.
Yes.
Yeah. If he's at peak Shohei.
Okay. So stop with I'm gonna play some downs both ways. And I have full respect for what Travis is trying to do and what he did at Colorado. He had my Heisman vote because no one's ever done what he did. But this thing that Ohtani's trying to do it's nuts. It's absolute bonkers. So that got started today. You have the tournament starting tonight, the March Madness. This would also be the time of year where I think these 4 games should all be bubble teams, and they should not be automatic qualifiers. So the early game over in Dayton today, the 6:40 game, this is when we all look for our True TV. It's St. Francis and Alabama State. No. Those should both be 16s and already in. And then what this should be is there's enough big guys in the NCAA tournament. Carolina, San Diego State. It's Texas and Xavier tomorrow. You could have played Ohio State, West Virginia. You could have played Indiana, Boise State. Those, and the winner of those 4 games get in. They're the last. Make them 11 seeds or 10 seeds or have somebody waiting for them, or however you want to seed them. But to me, this should be about major college teams on the bubble, and those should be the 8 teams playing over the next 2 days. You should not be punished as St. Francis, Alabama State. Dayton does a great job. Full respect and marks to Dayton for how they put on this. But at the same time, it ain't the tournament. It's not. It doesn't feel like the tournament in any way, shape, or form. And to take that opportunity away from a team that otherwise wouldn't be there, to me, is Bush League. So have the big boys play in Dayton for the right to play in the tournament.
I've always felt that exact same way, Bo. I never thought it was fair for teams that qualified for the tournament via your criteria that they had to play in these games. I don't think that's fair at all. It should be the North Carolinas, the Xaviers, those teams right there that are fighting their way in. That's what these games should be for, not for these schools that went out and did what they were supposed to in the regular season.
You know what I think? Because yesterday you had the news that the Buckeyes were not going to be participating in the postseason. Jake should take 5 of his guys that want to go, and they go and they wait till about 11:30 midnight, and whoever wins the North Carolina-San Diego State game, Jake Diebler walks into center court and says, "Challenge. We're going to play you for your spot." And you play 1 quarter of basketball. Best team wins.
By the way, speaking of something like that, could you imagine if we would have gotten a Xavier-Ohio State matchup at UD in these first 4? That would have been amazing.
Yep.
Like, I would have been trying to get over there to watch that.
It's not even a matter. See, this is the one instance where they don't worry about the television show because people would rather watch that. I mean, I just stood up for my guys at St. Francis and Alabama State, but the reality is what you just laid out is exactly what would rate. If North Carolina, San Diego State led into Ohio State and Xavier, and tomorrow Texas and Indiana was led into by North Carolina and, or however it be, whatever those 4 teams would be, Boise State, North Carolina, whatever, like that's your winner. That delivers from an audience standpoint. And honestly, it's more fair, and I know that that's not what the NCAA is about and never has been, but it is more fair to certainly do that. Teams that are middling teams in their own leagues, at these big boy leagues, have them play their way in and let these guys go. I remember covering Florida A&M when they got in years ago. They actually, and we did the Dayton thing, they won, and then they got to play Kentucky as the 1-16. But I thought, my God, the team that they beat, I can't even remember who it was, the team that they beat in Dayton, like, that's it. And that's not the tournament. That's not spending a weekend at a venue with a bunch of other people and a bunch of other teams. And Dayton does a great job. They do. Again, full marks to Dayton. And these games will probably be fun tonight. But at the same time, I think that there was a way to do it that would make a little bit more sense for the tournament and also make today a little bit bigger win. Because you'd have to be like Scotty Vegas level to be locked into St. Francis, Alabama State, unless you're an alumnus. I mean, who else is seeking that game out?
It's your yearly reminder that True TV is still a thing.
Yeah, right, exactly. Oh, now where's that? Yeah. I know where it is now. It's in they're all kind of near each other. The True, the Turners, they're all near each other on my cable box.
Did you just recommend everybody put $1,000 on the St. Francis Alabama State game to get into it a little more?
Just to get well, you can now. God, live a little bit. Get on your ESPN bet. See what you can find. Have a little fun. Make it interesting for the kids. It was not interesting last night for the Columbus Blue Jackets, though perhaps a little bit of energy and a silver lining in that third period. Maybe it's all hope. Who knows? We'll get into it coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If you consider yourself a Buckeye fan, you've come to the right place. This is your heritage sports talker and home of Ohio State athletics, The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
I'm an old school Joe, and my philosophy is simple and effective. At the end of the day, it's not what you win or lose, it's what you save. And betting reduced juice at Prime Sports Ohio is the way to save money on every single bet. Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, Kevin. How's my engine doing?
Well, you tell me, little lady.
What?
Ma'am, an engine is delicate. It's got a lot of parts rubbing together.
Oh, is that so?
Lube her up real nice, and she'll purr like a kitty cat.
How do you know so much about engines?
Well, I spent a lot of time under that hood.
Babe, she is running hot. Let's go. And next time, I get to play the mechanic.
Rev up the romance with Lion's Den, the official store of pleasure, passion, and romance.
Hey, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place.
And today, Pella's excited to announce our 100-year anniversary.
Cut! Leslie, you accidentally said 100 years.
Not an accident, Wilson.
What?
When you do the windows that look the best, you tend to stick around for a while.
I can't compete with that. Buy from her.
Get the windows that have been around for 100 years. The windows that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
Common Man here for Weed Man. I always have the greenest lawn in the neighborhood. It's luscious. I swear by two things, water and Weed Man. Weed Man is locally owned and operated by Corbin and Audrey. They will make sure your lawn is weed-free and looking gorgeous. Of course, they get rid of weeds, but they also do aeration, mosquito control, grub control, crabgrass prevention, and flea and tick control for your four-legged friends. For a free quote, give them a call, 614-733-3747, weedmanusa.com. Tell them Common Man sent you.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, I remember you saying that a family business should reflect family values, that a customer deserves to be treated with kindness and compassion.
And those values will never change. The reputation you built for being fair and honest is our greatest asset.
In fact, in 2024, Care was awarded a BBB Torch Award for ethics and named the Lennox Partner of the Year.
You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind. It's an honor to continue serving Central Ohio as a locally owned, family-run business.
So, whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just honest advice, Care is here for you.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Can't get enough of of your favorite fan content? Good news, we're on all the digitals. Follow 971 The Fan on X, Facebook, YouTube, The Talk, and Gram. Your digital home for endless shenanigans. The Fan.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty. Do you want to sell your property, however, you need a little help getting through the process? Let's say you have years of belongings in the home. It needs a lot of updating, you're overwhelmed, and you may need help finding a place to go. I will help you. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or call me now for an all-cash offer and, more importantly, the help you need at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Hi, the Scott Antique Markets are back again at the Ohio Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. The market is one weekend monthly, November through March. Build your family heirlooms. You can find everything that gets old. Just take I-71 to exit 111 to enjoy America's favorite treasure hunt. Visit thescottantiquemarket.com for more information. Come join us at the Ohio Expo Center for the Scott Antique Markets. It's huge. It's the Scott Antique Markets this weekend.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Great day today to be outside doing a little bit of spring cleaning or maybe getting in that afternoon walk. Lots of sunshine, high around 70. Tomorrow will be equally as warm, and in fact, it might actually be a little bit warmer with a high around 72, with winds as high as 35 miles per hour. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
An ex-jock and a very puffy, smooth-faced man. These are the first voices you should hear. Morning Juice. Your wake-up service.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
The Fan. Find us on YouTube. Search WBNS Radio and you can see what Bo looks like. But only if you subscribe. This is Bishop and Friends.
I heard, I was listening to Shark on Morning Juice this morning, and the goal against New Jersey in Jersey last week in the third, and then how long we had to wait to score again, which was last night in the third. I mean, you outshoot the Devils 24-3 in the third, but it's too little too late. And so I guess there's a silver lining in all of that. I've heard let's hear from Dean on it. He talks about it directly here, the energy in the third. Let's hear from your coach.
It was freaking awesome. Did we get the result? No. Did we play the right way? Do we believe that this is the turning point? Do we believe that this is one that not only the period, the game that turns us around and we're ready to go forward? Yeah, 100%. We played our asses off, guys. We had so many unbelievable opportunities. We played the right way. We played hard. We played disciplined. We played, within the system structurally. We just didn't get the result.
I mean, all is fair in hockey in that nothing is fair. Sometimes you can be the best team and lose. There's a randomness to it that isn't there in a lot of other sports. A great goaltending performance can carry you. The reality is that a week ago around this time, you were in New Jersey. They had 76 and you had 70. And if you won, all of a sudden they had 74, you had 70. If you won, you are 2 points out in terms of the third spot in the Metropolitan. Here is where we sit now on Tuesday, March 18th. Still at 70, Jersey is now at 80. So what had the chance to be a 2-point spread if you were to win in Jersey last week has now ballooned to 10. You've gone from the first wild card spot all the way out. You are now tied with Detroit, who at the time when you beat them in the outdoor game, it felt like you were going to lap them and leave them in the dust. That's not the case anymore. All of these games are critical. They're all playoff games. You are now 7 points clear behind Ottawa for the first wild card and 2 points behind the Rangers. So that's the good news. There's still a gaggle of teams there between 68 and 72 points, going all the way back to the Islanders at 68. By the way, Pittsburgh's now not out of it. They're at 66 now. They're not out of it. They're only 6 points back in the wild card. So hopefully what happened in the third can be positive going forward. But to me, that sounded like Dean trying to talk himself into that. That's what it seemed like to me. Like a hopeful. We played our asses off as his line, that it will lead to more. And more results. That it seemed like a coach being hopeful.
So we'll do the real truth at 10 o'clock, and maybe we'll do a little bit earlier from Dean Was that the real truth in terms of how you feel about this team after last night? The result was a loss, but the third period, Baker and I talked this morning, and he was live at Nationwide Arena for the festivities yesterday. And, you had a rosy disposition on how things went in that third.
Yeah, I think what Dean said there is the truth. I don't think he's trying to put a positive spin on that thing. I think the Jackets not only dominated that third period, which that third period, Bo, is as good of a period other than the goals that I've ever seen the Jackets play. I feel like they dominated that whole game, to be honest. And sometimes there's just a little bit of puck luck. And I'll admit, I'm the biggest Jackets fan in the world that there is, but I also feel like I'm pretty objective at times. The last couple games didn't look great. That was a different team on the ice last night. And I was sitting there next to our digital guy, Tyler, and I looked at him at one point and I said, every bounce, the Jackets shoot the puck, it's hitting someone in the butt and it's kicking out to the wall. Mm-hmm. New Jersey shot the puck and it hit someone in the butt and dropped right in front of Jet Greaves on a New Jersey player's stick. Yeah. It just seemed like every bounce, and sometimes you make your own bounces. I get that, but the Jackets really played good. There was one time last night, Bo, there was probably, I think, right around 5 minutes left. I literally looked down to see if Jet Greaves was in goal still because it seemed like the Jackets had 6, maybe 7 players on the ice.
Yeah, I think it's also hopeful that this leads to a stretch of play that will get you results. But the reality is you've got Florida coming in here on Thursday, and now all of a sudden you have a Pittsburgh team with a little bit of belief where you go there Friday. We've all let Pittsburgh back in. That's what's happened here. They're still 6 points out, but all of a sudden, every time you play them, you play the Isles after that. You got to go to Long Island after that on Monday. Every time you play, those are all 4-point games. 2 for you, 2 for them. So the results have to start coming. You got to just call it what it is. It's 6 out of 7 losses. It's an incredible third period by all accounts. But it's 6 out of 7 losses since the outdoor game. And I think, Reese, I go back to comments you were making last week, and I'm like, hey, let's track down Jersey. You're like, easy. And I'm like, what's fun in that? But the reality is that it's possible that so much was built into that outdoor game and the lead up to it that what's followed. Now, some of it's the fact that you played Tampa Bay and Florida and Vegas squads, but you also played New York twice and Jersey twice. And those are teams that you're competing with head-to-head. You did get the one win against Jersey, which, man, coming out of that one, you thought that would be the momentum springer, winning 7-3 on Madison Square Garden, but it didn't. So you gave that right back up over the weekend. So they are ahead of schedule. They've been a lot of fun. I do think that they need to get in for this to have a really cool feel about it. Looking back, I think it's really critical that they get into the wild card spot. I understand why they did it at the deadline and let it play out, but I can't help but look at the results now, because this is more than a small sample size, 6-7 games, where you can say that maybe too much was put into that game. There's no way to put that genie back in the bottle. That was an unbelievable night in Central Ohio for the franchise, for all of it. But God, a lot went into it. And I think the results kind of speak for themselves.
And it does stink, right, that you've lost 6 of 7, and last week at this time you're talking about catching New Jersey for the 3 seed in the Metro. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is you're still 2 points behind the final wild card with a game in hand on that team. So, yeah, I mean, it's not end of the world here, but it's still, like you said, it's still you've lost 6 of 7 here. You've got to right the ship and win some games quick.
So they got Florida here on Thursday, then at Pittsburgh, then at New York, then Vancouver here. So that's the next. They only play 4 games from now until a week from Friday. So they should be able to rest up and hopefully get a little healthy.
The other thing nice here, and maybe not nice because they've been playing really well, but that team that's in the 7th spot, you've got 3 games against them the rest of the way. If you can get all those, that's a big momentum swing on Ottawa.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. He just felt hopeful. It was an incredible period, but it felt a little bit like, I hope this is who we are. You'll find out. You don't play again until Thursday, so we'll kind of get a decent read on that going forward. It's funny. I saw 2 today. It's amazing how you time these things out, and it's not by accident. So Today it's obviously Tuesday. Yesterday was the Monday coming out of the bracket. So everybody's talking brackets and free agency. Well, you need something to talk about on the big shows today. So what do you get? You get within an hour of each other, Mel Kiper Jr. dropping a new mock draft and Daniel Jeremiah at NFL Network dropping a new mock draft. This is not by coincidence, kids. This is happening because they're going, what are we going to talk about? NFL free agency's dried up. I can't do a second day on the network, on those networks, and NFL Network can't do it at all, but ESPN can't do an entire second day on brackets. Hey, Mel, can you give us another mock? You bet I can. What's changed? Nothing. Nothing's changed since the combine. Absolutely nothing. And yet you get a shakeup. It's interesting. They both have the Browns at pick number 2 taking Abdul Carter. Both of them. They both have Cam Ward going number 1 to Tennessee, Abdul Carter going 2 to Cleveland. They both have Shedeur Sanders going 3 to the Giants. So Shedeur Sanders is good enough to go 3 to the Giants, but not 2 to the Browns. So just try to wrap your head out of that pretzel. Both have Travis Hunter going 4 to New England. I would just tell you this. I believe absolutely the Browns are taking a quarterback at 2. I think if they like one more than the other, they may even try to go all the way to 1. If they do sit at 2, I do not believe that they would take a defensive end. If anything, they'd take Travis Hunter.
Yes. As a Browns fan. Yes. If it's not going to be quarterback, I think it should be Hunter. The fun thing, to your point in all of this, I'm on the Jeremiah mock when they've got Abdul Carter going to Cleveland at 2. And I'm just going to read from it. I think you could make a strong argument that taking Carter and waiting for a second-tier quarterback in round 2 is the better option. Sure.
I'd like you to try.
Good, you think
make
that.
The argument. Make the argument that it is.
I would not.
One second-round pick who's a franchise quarterback who starts.
And just right now, while you're waiting, for what Cleveland's going to do in the quarterback room, other than Kenny Pickett, the argument I don't think can be made.
No.
Because that's not a feasible option with Kenny Pickett, your only quarterback with any kind of NFL reps.
You could have just stopped with Kenny Pickett as your only quarterback because he is right now.
Small hands.
He's the only guy. The only guy. Yeah. Shedeur's good enough to go 3 to the Giants, but not 2 to the Browns. They got to take a defensive end. They're gonna give their most valuable asset in the same room that they just paid Myles Garrett because they want to be really good at defensive end.
That makes sense if you landed a free agent quarterback. You didn't.
If you land a free agent quarterback who's 27, come on. Day 1 of Buckeye camp is in the books. Austin with his perspective, having watched it all, coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think you could beat lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text KING to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text KING to 42424. That's KING to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio.
Austin Ward here, fired up for warm weather, golf season, longer days, more time outside. Ride the momentum and finally drop the weight you keep saying you will. With Awaken 180, it's fast, easy, and we're all proof that it works. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could dump all your problems on someone else's back? Well, when you wake up to a clogged drain or a plumbing issue, make that Mr. Rooter's problem.
Call 855-MISTERS today or MrRooter.com.
Call Mr. Rooter. He'll be there quick.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
All right, here's what's up on a Tuesday edition of the program. Our good buddy Austin Ward, normally on a Monday, but was quite busy because we had availability and we had an ability to watch the Buckeye team hit the field for the first time. Of course, starting the eyes in the podcast, joining now on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. What is your favorite thing that you learned from yesterday?
Oh, wow. There's a lot to get into, Bo. I have to start by apologizing for disrupting the schedule on a Monday.
No.
Yeah, it's a must. It's a must.
No, great.
It's
day one, buddy. All hands on deck.
Thought we'd be able to make it work, but I was trying to learn some things about the Buckeyes so we could follow up with it on a Tuesday instead. I'll put the usual caveat that it was an acclimation practice. There were no pads. We saw just briefly full team stuff, and they lined up about the way you would expect. Well, definitely the way you would expect on defense. There was a little bit of shuffling on offense, and I think everybody walked in and immediately looked at number 4. And for once, I'm not talking about Jeremiah Smith. Devin Sanchez is he looks the part. What is that going to look like over the next 14 practices? What's it going to look like in training camp? I don't know. I mean, Jermaine Matthews and Davison Igbinosun still play for this team. I guess the thing that I'm trying to learn as we move forward, and we weren't going to get there on Monday, is how does that overflowing cupboard at cornerback, does it spill over to nickel? And I'm not trying to diminish Lorenzo Styles coming back, the progress he's making in that nickel spot. He was on the field a year ago, contributed to the national champs, played mainly in that dime role. He's certainly someone that can play there. But if you have a group with, Scott, West, Igbinosun, Matthews, and now Devin Sanchez, you have a lot of 4 or 5-star, cornerbacks plus a pair of veterans that it can give you other options in the secondary. And I'm not saying that they have to do that. I'm not saying they will do that. But Devin Sanchez, he looks already, and Berm said this a lot, and I've said this probably for the last couple of Mondays with you, Bo, he's drawing comparisons to Jeremiah Smith as a cornerback. So I think he's going to be in the mix, but I am trying not to get too far ahead of it. The other part is just sort of looking at the way they're managing the offensive line. Again, it's just day one. They weren't, doing inside drill or anything like that to ramp up the physicality. But, having Austin Saraveld and Ian Moore with the quote-unquote first group, I think we all expect by the end that the transfer portal guys, Ethan Onyanwa and Phillip Daniels, are the ones that we penciled in at starter. But I think that Saraveld, clearly both Saraveld and Moore are critical for the depth at tackle, and we know full well how important that was for Ohio State as they had to adjust multiple times on the way to the championship. But Saraveld, I think, sometimes it becomes a knock that you have the positional versatility and flexibility, and you're a swing guy, and you're the 6th one. I think, especially given that Saraveld went through that process with Ohio State a year ago, it's like he knows that is actually a very, very important role. I mean, this team wants to play 16 or 17 games. He's going to be on the field one way or another. So I think having him at tackle was probably one of the more under-the-radar valuable things for Ohio State as we head through this spring.
And just so our audience knows who aren't maybe all the way up on recruiting, Devin is the 5-star corner out of Houston, the Houston area. A buddy of mine who covers the Texans, Landry Locker, last year at training camp in Houston, sent me a picture of him standing next to CJ Stroud. And I'm like, I'm like, which corner is that? Stingley, which corner is that for the Texans? He's like, oh, no, that's the kid who's going to come play corner at Ohio State. So I mentioned him for about the last month, and as someone to pay attention. Just when you start to hear people talk like that down there, that hype is pretty real typically. So he's one that passes the look test for sure. I'm curious. Look, I know that Ryan is going to handle this the way he's going to handle it. There were a bunch of questions about quarterback because, of course, there's going to be. It's the most important position in football. They're going to roll all 3. We know that. But just watching with your eyes, what were your impressions of what a year here has done for Julian Sayin, what another year here has done for Lincoln Kienholz, and what a couple of months has done for Tavian St. Clair?
Yeah. I think that's the right way to frame it, Bo, and that's the way I'm trying to look at it throughout the spring, because I don't think there's very much chance of Ryan Day naming a starter or giving any kind of pecking chart. I don't know. Let's call it something new today.
All works.
I think that we can all reasonably assume how it's likely to turn out, and there's only 3 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster right now. It's not that difficult, and there aren't that many configurations that you can even come up with. So I think looking at the progress for each one individually and comparing it to themselves is probably the right approach, and I'm going to try to do that the best that I can this spring. Yesterday, what I was really taken by, I'll start with Lincoln, which was just more consistent accuracy. I think sometimes he does get pinned into, and the best traits that he's going to have are the dual threat, the running ability. That's what's going to separate him for any kind of role that he has for Ohio State, is what he can do with his legs and with his strength. But he was, again, throwing routes on air. The ball was coming out well. It was on point. It was accurate. And that's, where we've been watching for progress for him the last 2 years. So that was good for him. I think Tavian, he was already, when we talk about Devin Sanchez showing up physically ready, Tavian St. Clair, certainly even compared to those other 2 guys when they were true freshmen, just looks the part. Like he had been taking that approach in the weight room seriously, and he had plenty of time over the last year and a half to be around the team and also learn from Will Howard. So I think knowing what to do on day one, I think he had a better head start, which is critical for him. It doesn't mean that I think he's going to play a role right away. I think he needs a development year, and potentially Ohio State will allow him that by having Lincoln Kienholz and Julian Sayin around. And the throws that I left yesterday replaying in my mind the most were from Julian Sayin. I don't want to get too carried away by it, but it was just some simple stuff. There were 2 throws in particular. One was a drag route to Brandon Ennis. Like, oh, cool, a drag route on air, but it was a guy that was moving. It wasn't like turning around on a hook and hit him in the numbers. Brandon Ennis is fast. He's driving across the field. There's lots of other moving parts out there. Hits him right in stride. Then Ennis turns it upfield, and it's like, oh, there's some of that mesh stuff that can be so potent. If you can put it on the money and lead that receiver, boy, that becomes way more challenging for a defense. And then he had another one, which was, a movement throw. He's going to his left, and the way that the ball just comes out of his hand, it's like he's flicking a dart. It comes out so quickly and so accurately. And this was another one, like Jeremiah is sort of, dragging across the field. Julian is on the move, Jeremiah is on the move, and the ball is just right where it needs to be. Those are the ones that's like, okay, when people are talking about the quick release and the accuracy, those are the ones that you just are zoning in on. And he does that really, really well.
Yeah, you can just, even in the video that I saw from you guys yesterday, like it's just easy. It's just really effortless flicking out of I love the flick is going to be used a lot. We'll all use that a lot because that's kind of what it looks like. If there is, this is such a loaded roster. It's really is so much talent. But the one thing that is an incredible difference from a year ago is obviously the running back room. You went from 2 guys who are pros, who are going to be picked probably by day 2 of the NFL draft, to a bunch of unproven. We like Peoples a lot. Bo Jackson's coming in. You got the transfer from West Virginia. When you looked at that room, do you say there's enough there for what is required, or do you say they may need to amplify that in the spring window?
I'm not of the mindset that they need to go into the portal. I think what they've got is pretty intriguing. Just the difference, obviously, between now and last year is that you had 2 absolute proven commodities. There was no question about what Travion Henderson was going to give Ohio State, and Quinshon Judkins had been the best running back in the SEC for 2 years before he arrived. So there was no even room to have that conversation. I think the question from you is certainly fair, because you're looking at a group that James Peoples, for all the potential, has not had to do it during a live, meaningful rep. For C.J. Donaldson, there is some really good film there at the Power 4 level, but not had to be a full-time guy, and maybe he wouldn't have to do that for Ohio State. But I think there's enough in there for both that you look at the potential there, and Bo Jackson getting, to do some stuff this spring. I wasn't sure physically how much he'd be able to do. He looked really good. He's another guy that fits right in the same bucket, Bo. That's like, well, he shows up and he looks absolutely ready to rock at the championship level. He's a dude as well. So I think, there's the uncertainty there, which would leave the door open if somebody popped into the portal that was like, you know what, I think there's an opportunity at Ohio State, and I'm going to see if they want me or if anybody else does. I think that the tires would have to be kicked, because you don't turn down anything like that when you're in really the situation that Ohio State is in. But at the same time, they would not be desperate. They would not be tampering to do so. They would not be, just putting out a help wanted sign, because the room that Carlos Lachlan has built and remade here sort of on the fly has everything I think that Ohio State needs. What they are lacking is just a little bit of experience in the program itself. But I think they can piece that together. And Donaldson, he's another guy that just catches your attention when you walk in there. I think he's slimmed down a little bit, and we're going to talk to him maybe tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. He looks different than he did on film at West Virginia. It looks like he's changed his body a little bit already. And I know that Carlos Lachlan has pretty high hopes for him as well. He kind of pushed back with some conversation that Berm and I were having throughout the offseason about James People being the guy. He said, you guys might want to wait and see C.J. Donaldson. So we got some of that feedback, and we paid attention to him. And I think there's some room there for excitement. But again, you still have to go out there and earn it.
It's good to be back, isn't it?
Oh, man, it's so great.
So good, man. Great stuff. Always great catching up with you, my friend. Thanks for your time.
All right. Sorry again for yesterday. We'll be ready on Monday.
You're safe, pal. No worries. No worries. There he goes. The great Austin Ward, dotting the I's of the podcast on the Bryan Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. What is next for Buckeye basketball? A very busy next couple of weeks. Jake Diebler very illuminating on what the path forward needs to look like. We will get into that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We used to have a billboard with our host's face on it, but only ugly people work here now.
You mama say you ugly, hey!
The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Do you suffer from leg pain, leg swelling, varicose veins, or leg ulcers? Dr. Barry Zeta and Dr. Joseph Senta at Ohio Vein and Vascular Polaris are pioneers in the vein and vascular field. Dr. Zeta and Dr. Senta can perform minimally invasive procedures that will get you back on track to a pain-free life. Stop living with leg pain and start the process to healthy living with a free healthy leg screening. Go to loveyourveins.com or call 614-324-VEIN. That's 614-324-VEIN or loveyourveins.com.
The best matchup is you in a new Kia from Coughlin Kia. Get into a new Kia now with $0 down. Get 0% financing on select new Kias and make 0 payments for 3 months on any new Kia in stock. Visit CoughlinKia.com.
Coughlin has the car for you.
0% for 72 equals $13.89 per 1,000 financed on Nero EV, EV6, and EV9 with approved credit through Kia Motor Finance. 90 days deferred payments until June 2025. Qualified manufacturer incentives to dealer. Prior sales excluded. No security deposit. Residency restrictions may apply. Offers cannot be combined. See dealer for details. Ends 3/31/25.
A pepperoni pizza for the table.
Thank you.
May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness, while the carbonation and notes of citrus enhance the flavor profile. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time. Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Hi, Kevin. How's my engine doing?
Well, you tell me, little lady.
What?
Ma'am, an engine is delicate. It's got a lot of parts. Rub it together.
Oh, is that so?
Lube her up real nice, and she'll purr like a kitty cat.
How do you know so much about engines?
Well, I spent a lot of time under that hood.
Babe, she is running hot. Let's go. And next time, I get to play the mechanic.
Rev up the romance with Lion's Den, the official store of pleasure, passion, and romance.
Back in the studio with a return visit from
Todd Schmelt.
Todd, the last time you were with us, you claimed to be
the dumbest person in Columbus.
You're being really hard on yourself.
Not in the least. You know what I got?
I hate to ask.
One of them thermostats with the dial and the needle. Woo, woo, woo.
Maybe that's not modern, but not.
What am I? Eli Whitney, Elias Howe, Johann Gertis?
I don't know who those people are.
Those are old-timey people from the 19th century, and that's me. Outdated, like my silly old thermostat.
Okay, look, you're not the dumbest guy in Columbus. You just haven't called Apex Pros.
The pros who knows?
Those those guys. Whether it's the latest technology, fixing your furnace, or a brand new system, they know all the stuff so you don't have to.
I don't have to know it all?
Nah, you just have to know the pros who knows.
Apex Pros. I'm not the dumbest guy in Columbus.
I didn't even know who Johann Gertis was.
Inventor of the gas-powered unicycle. Look it up, doy.
Okay, you don't have to be mean.
No doubt about it. Columbus loves Apex Pros, the pros who knows. ApexPros.com.
The Jackets are fighting for a playoff spot, and they need your help. Send your supportive love waves through the radio by listening to Jackets coverage here on The Fan. If they lose, it's your fault. No pressure. The Fan.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother got life insurance from Ethos, and it only took 10 minutes. And he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. The best hair on the air. You are listening to Bishop and Friends.
Without looking, and maybe you both know, what is your guess on what Texas's record was in the SEC this year? They played 18 games.
14-4?
No, in the SEC. Texas men playing in the play-in game tomorrow.
10-8.
18 games?
18 games.
And I know they had a pretty good non-conference because that looked like a good Buckeye win there for a while. So I'd guess I'd say we're 8-10.
6-12.
Oh, boy.
They were 6-12 in the league. Oklahoma was 6-12 in the league. Other SEC teams that got into the NCAA under 500: Georgia 8-10, Mississippi State 8-10, Arkansas 8-10, Vanderbilt 8-10. The reason I bring this up is because there are 16. We compare ourselves to the SEC. Those are the peer. They are the equal. They have of 16 teams playing in their conference. 14 of them are in March Madness. It's a record. Only 2 of them, South Carolina and LSU, are not playing postseason basketball. The other 2 in the league are not playing postseason basketball. Conversely, in the Big Ten Conference, 8 teams are in the NCAA tournament, and only 2 of the 18 teams in the league decided to also play postseason basketball. USC decided to, and Penn State decided to. Penn State was 6-14 in the league, and they're going to play. USC is 7-13 in the league, 16-17 overall, and they're going to play in the college basketball crown. All the rest of the Big Ten teams said thanks, but no thanks. Now, some of it's coaching changes, Minnesota, Indiana. Some of it is rosters, right? Can you fill a roster for this thing? My hunch is that's what happened here. Jake Diebler was on his show after us yesterday. He addressed why they decided not to play in the postseason. Here's your Ohio State men's basketball coach.
We've been playing in big-time, meaningful games for a significant stretch, and our guys have poured everything they had into it. And we got some guys who, quite honestly, they're banged up. They're dealing with some injuries and just some overall kind of totality of the season of what we asked a couple guys to do. And, we still got some guys sick right now. Like it's been a lot, and we just felt like, right now certainly the timing of the crown's not ideal. I mean, if we're going to have an open, we can be open and direct about that too, but it was more about just everything else we've had going on physically and what we've done to get through this year, that we felt like the best thing right now for this group was to turn that down. Now, getting into the crown, I think I love the idea of it, right? I think it's great what they're trying to do. the timing's tough because it starts, after the portal opens. And, we explored even not going to the Crown and trying to get into the NIT as a potential option, maybe a third option if NCAA tournament Crown. And because of the deal, the Big Ten has and things, that wasn't an option for us. It was Crown or nothing. We couldn't do NIT this year because we were the highest rated net team in the league, which was, essentially that was the agreement with the Crown and the Big Ten. So those were our two options, NCAA tournament or Crown. And we just, again, that's why we aren't playing.
That right there is how the sausage is made. That part where he says that, just so you understand, like, because people say, well, why couldn't we play an NIT game? And, in years, and they can't do it now, it's a weight room or whatever, but like they had played NIT games at St. John. They've done that before, and it was awesome. I mean, the venue remains pretty damn close to perfect in terms of taking in a basketball game and one for housing basketball. They can't do that, as I mentioned, anymore, but they've done that before. But the reality is that there was no choice, that the Crown was something that was created by Fox. It was created to be filled with their television partners at the Big Ten, the Big East, and the Big 12. And it was that or that's it. And as he just illuminated, the idea that they just needlessly threw this transfer window in for men's basketball right now is borderline insane. It's not borderline insane. It's absolutely insane to do this, to make it so there is true free agency in the middle of the postseason. In football, you can make an argument that the reason that they do it when they do it is so guys can get in for winter semester, for second semester. Okay, fine. We're still going to do the charade that we're playing school. Fine. But what is the point of this one now? Why now? Why is there a portal open now? Why would this portal not open like the football portal, April 16th, and be open until the end of May? That gives you a chance. Then you start next semester. You come into summer semester. There's nothing academically that, and I'm a state school kid, so maybe I'm missing something here, but it makes no damn sense to me that you would have a portal open arbitrarily in the middle of the most important month of your season when you could just as easily, I'd see no academic value. Am I missing something from an academic calendar? Reese, of the three of us, you're the most recently at university. Am I missing something here?
Oh, I wouldn't give me that much credit. And I attended a college. I was going to say, I think it strikes me as a deterrent, if anything, to enter the transfer portal. Because I can't think of a reason that this
There's nothing I'm missing academically, right?
No. Because I think everything's in May. Everything ends in May because now that all these schools are on semesters. So it's right smack dab in the middle of the semester. Unless you're just saying bleep the credits, bleep the school. But I thought about it yesterday and I think about it today. Like, they're putting that portal window after the second round completes for both the men's and the women's as a deterrent to teams from jumping right into the portal as soon as they get eliminated from the tournament.
None of these portal windows really make sense, but neither did what Jake Diebler said there. Because the first part, he talks first about we decided not to do it because of the health of the team. And then he says, well, we would have taken an NIT if we could have. The NIT starts tonight. The Crown starts March 31st.
Right.
So that doesn't compute with the health of your team. Just come out and say, we didn't want to play in the Crown tournament because we don't know if we'll have a roster or not.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that.
Don't bring up healthy. I think Jake just got too wordy there and talked too much. But don't talk about the health of the team, which I'm sure there's probably guys banged up and whatnot. But that's not the reason you're not playing in the postseason. You're not playing in the postseason because your only option, you weren't sure if you would have enough players.
I think that's fair. I also think we do the real truth next. He can't be that real truthy on his show when he's trying to recruit and he's trying to portal. The reality is that the NIT would have given them a home game this weekend, and that's before the portal opens. When is it? The portal opens after
24th of March.
Yeah, so you could probably play 2 games before the portal opens, and then you say, well, you can't bail on us now. We're in the middle of a run. Whereas the one at the end of the month is one where the real truth is he probably doesn't. To your point, Bake, you're right, because the health part of it doesn't add up. If they made the tournament, obviously they would be playing in it. If they were in the big dance, they wouldn't be worried about health. They wouldn't turn down an invitation to the big dance. So you're right on that. I also think that he can't say that part out loud. So you got it.
He
you
did,
nailed it.
though, right?
He did, but he didn't. He did. You're right. He did, but he didn't.
I mean, if I was him, I would have just stopped at health, personally.
Yeah, I think the NIT thing undercuts probably the original point, that saying, oh, we would have done this, though. The reality is they probably would have done it knowing that the portal doesn't open for the first couple of games and he could have kept it all together. The reality is that by the time the Crown is played, this roster could look entirely different than the one that they closed with. So they got big work to do, and they got to hit their portal guys. And this is a critical month for the Buckeye basketball team, because you do not want to make this a habit. And right now, after 3 straight misses, it is. We'll hit the real truth coming up next. Will Ohio State know its starting quarterback after the spring showcase? Among the topics of conversation, that's coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The only show where sports talk is eclipsed by food talk. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan.
Hey, Ohio, Prime Sports has arrived. The only book where you can lay 108 instead of 110 on all your favorite teams. Football, baseball, basketball, and hockey. Why would you risk more to win the same amount at another sports book? Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Got a car to sell? Jermaine Toyota of Columbus wants it and will pay you $1,000 over the Kelly Blue Book value. That's right. Jermaine Toyota Buy Center is making it easier than ever to get top dollar for your ride. No trade-in required, no pressure, just fast, easy cash for your car. Any make, any model, we want it. Stop by Jermaine Toyota of Columbus today or visit JermaineToyota.net to get your free appraisal. Jermaine Toyota of Columbus on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
Spring forward, Columbus, with the Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling Services. We're here to thaw you out with this limited time offer. Get up to $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer is too good to pass up. The Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling now together to serve you better with $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer won't last. Call us today, 614-232-2222. That's 614-232-2222.
Montana, Bettis, Horning, and Brown, some of the greatest of all time, kicked off their careers in South Bend. You can celebrate Notre Dame football's impact on the professional game by visiting the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton to experience Gold Helmet to Gold Jacket March 14th through April 27th. And register to win our grand prize at 971thefan.com/goldjacket. One winner will receive 2 tickets to the Hall of Fame game, enshrinement ceremony, and the Hall of Fame Museum. That's 971thefan.com/goldjacket.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
We've lowered prices. You can save 15% or more on hundreds of items like Thomas Mini Bagels, Campbell's SpaghettiOs, and more. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Bobcat Enterprises is your family-owned partner for landscaping and construction projects. Bobcat Enterprises sells and services a full line of Bobcat equipment, including compact track loaders, excavators, tractors, and more. Plus, Bobcat rents compact equipment and attachments. With Bobcat, you can rent the machine and own the results. Keep your business local. Stop by Bobcat Enterprises in Hilliard, Reynoldsburg, or Zanesville, and find current specials and our full line of products by visiting bobcatent.com today.
Every great team needs a playmaker, a secret weapon, an MVP, like Caster Connection. Our industrial casters and wheels give your business the ultimate assist, improving mobility, efficiency, and safety. Whether you're moving carts, racks, or heavy equipment, we set you up for the win. Don't get benched by bad wheels. Go to casterconnection.com to shop online or to work with our industry-leading caster solution specialists. Caster Connection keeps your business in motion.
For a limited time at Verizon, you can get our best price ever. That's 4 lines on unlimited welcome for just $25 a line per month with autopay plus taxes and fees. You'll also get the new iPhone 16 Pro, 4 of them for the entire family when you trade in up to 4 phones from our top brands. That's a new phone for everyone, only on the network you can count on. Verizon. Visit a store today.
20 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply for phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey guys, it's Anthony Rothman. Let's talk about feeling your best. If you don't feel that same energy, strength, maybe you're feeling moody or it seems you've lost your drive with your partner, it could be low testosterone. You have to go see the true experts at Low T Center. Getting tested is fast and easy. I learned all about the personalized therapy at Low T Center and the results you can expect with customized TRT. So don't put it off any longer. Go to lowtcenter.com and book that appointment. lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The Blue Jackets outshot the Devils 46-20 last night at Nationwide, but New Jersey's Jake Allen had 45 saves as the Devils beat the CBJ 2-1. It's the fourth straight loss for Columbus, who managed to score a goal for the first time in 3 games. Matthew Olivier found the back of the net in the third. CBJ looked to halt their 4-game slide Thursday night hosting the Panthers. Columbus is 2 points out of that second wildcard spot in the East. In college hoops, the NCAA tournament begins tonight. 2 of the first 4 play-in games at the UD Arena in Dayton. St. Francis plays Alabama State at 6:40. North Carolina and San Diego State go around 9:10. In the NBA Tuesday, the Cavaliers look to begin another winning streak. Cleveland begins a 4-game road trip in Los Angeles, taking on the Clippers at 10:30. And in baseball, the Dodgers and Cubs kicked off the MLB regular season this morning in Tokyo. Los Angeles took game 1 of 2, 4-1. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Bo knows many people. He talks to the interesting ones on this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, second hour here on a Tuesday. Uncle Dom coming up at 10:30. Time now for The Real Truth. Hit it, fellas.
Bishop and Friends present The Real Truth.
Sponsored by Diamond Cellar. Over 76 years of experience and guaranteed lowest prices on Sawmill Road or diamondcellar.com.
We will know Ohio State's starting quarterback after the spring showcase on April 12th. Is that the real truth?
I think I know it now. So, yeah, I do think it's the real truth. Do I think it'll be made public? No, I don't. I don't think that'll be the case at all, but I do think that we will know. I believe I already know. I believe I knew last year after one practice that Will Howard was going to be the starting quarterback. Like, there's enough whisper and conversation around certain players that you didn't bring in Will last year to back up Devin Brown. It just didn't compute. It was not the case. And everything that we've heard from Julian saying, not from him, but rather about him, from people inside the program, people who followed him in recruiting, is that he's built a little bit different. And that's not to take away from the other two because they're both studs. It's an absolute blessing that few programs have where you have this type of quarterback room. Do I think it'll be made public? No, but the way you worded this, I do think it's the real truth that we will know.
Yeah, so technically we're not going to know because they're not going to say anything. This is going to continue to be a quarterback competition until fall camp and maybe a week or two into fall camp. But it does sure seem like we already know. It seems like we knew last year when Julian passed up Lincoln and was the number 3 quarterback that was the way this was trending for this year. Now, you never know how guys progress. Maybe Lincoln will have a great spring and truly make it a quarterback competition in battle. Yeah. But so the real truth is no, we won't know because they won't technically tell us, but I think we're all pretty sure that it's Julian.
I think it's probably closer to last year's where that it's Will unless it just really goes bad and he's just not as good as we think. I think it's more that than it is Justin Fields versus Gunnar Hoke. I don't think it's that. and that one we didn't nail that one in until well into the 19 training camp. So I do think that Julian needs a good spring, and I think Lincoln can catch him, or Julian rather can catch him, or Lincoln can catch Julian rather. But I think that you hear enough whispers, I think it's known.
The Columbus Blue Jackets will miss the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. Is that the real truth?
A week ago at this time, I was saying, let's get the 3 spot. Let's go. And now here we sit a week later, and I think, boy, I have some of it is just the scar tissue of being a fan of this franchise for a long time and being an observer of the franchise. Maybe that's where my answer comes from. It does feel to me like it was all, not overtly, but subconsciously, it was all put into that outdoor game. And they crushed it. They crushed all of it. Because the play I think that's why they were so encouraged about what happened last night in the third, albeit in a loss. It was like, oh, that's still there. We still have that. Now, can that turn into winning a couple of games in a row? Hopefully. You're going to get big-time tests when you think about Florida and Pittsburgh next 2 times out. To answer the question, I do think it's going to be the real truth. I think they're just going to miss it. Just barely. But I think they'll be in it the whole way. It'll be a fun month. And I don't think they're just going to lose out like the last week's been tough. They won't. They'll fight. We saw that in the third. But I do think that it'll end up maybe being too big of a mountain to climb.
There are so many ebbs and flows in an NHL season because it's so long. And it sure seemed like last night, at least being there in person, that the Jackets were towards the end of this. Now, it's a tough sled for Thursday night when you play the Panthers, and then you take on the Penguins back-to-back, going to a place where you've not been great historically. But they're still 2 points out of the last wild card with a game in hand on that team, the Rangers. They've got 3 games with the Senators. And let's not forget, Sean Monahan and Cole Sillinger and Eric Goodbranson are all due back here in the next couple of weeks. So I think it is not the real truth. I think the Jackets do sneak in there. I think they'll get enough from Elvis. And I think that these young guys, it's great to see Chinnikov, the best game he's had since he was back last night. So I think the Jackets do get in.
Aaron Rodgers has played his last down of NFL football. Is that the real truth?
I mean, who the hell knows? This is my read on this. Aaron Rodgers at the end of last week put it out there that he would have an interest in Minnesota. If Minnesota had an interest in Aaron Rodgers, he would already be a Viking, because I don't think it's about money. I think he looked at that situation, he thought, elite play caller, elite weapons, dome, revenge against the Packers. I'm sure there's part of him that thinks, like, boy, I can Favre it here, right? Have one more run at it, the way Favre did with Minnesota and got him to an NFC championship game. My hunch is that it is starting to feel like it's Minnesota or nothing for him. If he wanted to play in Pittsburgh, he would already be there. If he wanted to play in Minnesota, they already would have signed him. I'm sorry, if Minnesota would have wanted him, they've already would have signed him. I don't think he's going to play for the Giants. So, to me, can he talk himself into playing for Pittsburgh? That, to me, is what this is all about. I think that, to answer the question, I think it's now start to feel like more likely he has played his last down of NFL football, because I don't think Minnesota's going to come calling. And I don't know if he can talk himself into playing in the AFC North for Pittsburgh.
I don't think this is the real truth. I don't think Aaron Rodgers wants his last memory of NFL football of him to be what happened with the Jets there the past couple of years. So he's going to sign on, I believe, with Pittsburgh here before it's all said and done, and he'll quarterback the Steelers this year. And it'll be much better than the Jets because the Steelers always hang around. So yeah. I don't believe this is the real truth. We're not done with Aaron Rodgers.
A tip of the cap to loyal listener Abby D for this next one. Talks about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Under Mike Tomlin, they will be under 500 in 2025 for the first time. Is that the real truth?
Well, as it's trending right now, yeah. I mean, right now they have Mason Rudolph, and that's it. So, my hunch is if they don't get Rodgers, they'll go back to Russell Wilson. But that's not going to be the best scenario ever, I don't think. because obviously they want Rodgers more than him. So that's a bit of a tricky spot. But yeah, I think that they probably will. They're going to be playing a second-place schedule, so there will be a challenge in that. Curse the day that you doubt Tomlin and the Steelers for finishing over 500 because that's all he does. But it does feel like this is going to be a lot to ask to get them to do it this year.
Because of what you just said, Bo, and curse the day that you question Tomlin and the Steelers, that's why I'll say this is not the real truth. Because they're going to, like I said, I think they'll end up with Aaron Rodgers, but whether it's Russ or whoever, they'll find some way to make it work at quarterback. They have ever since Ben left, and they'll be good enough. They upgraded, right? They got DK Metcalf, so they've got two pretty good weapons on the outside. Is their running back position going to be good enough? I don't know. Can Gainwell and Warren, can that duo do enough for them on that side? But I think that defense is still good and good enough. I think they are over 500.
So their non-division games are at Detroit, at the Chargers, at New England, at the Jets, Buffalo, Miami, Green Bay, Minnesota, Indy, and Seattle.
One of those in Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah, one of those is. Has that been picked yet? Do we know which one that is?
Not officially. I think we can do process of elimination in figuring out which of the opponent's going to be. Because you mentioned the Colts there. I think they've got an international game. I don't have the exact schedule in front of me, but there are some that have already been assigned.
Too.
Yeah, they're Spain, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any they're not going to take the Buffalo game out of there. Could be Minnesota, maybe, or Seattle. Probably the way that
Don't the Vikings feel connected to a couple international games too? I think the Browns have some connection there.
Browns are in England, yeah, and you can't play divisional games in across the pond, so there's that part of it as well. But yeah, at some point it's got to end. The Rodgers thing's wild. Like we were sitting here a week ago saying, well, by the end of the day, you should have an idea where it's between these two, Giants and Steelers, and now here we sit a week later and still nothing. And both the Giants and Steelers are kind of waiting on him. But how long can you wait? I think the most telling thing is he floated it. I would love to go to Minnesota, was floated, and that Minnesota was in on him, and then there was nothing reciprocal from the Vikings. Like the Vikings saying, no, I think we're probably good. We're going to roll with JJ. And we're not going to upset the apple cart with that. So I think that's the most notable thing in that regard. A couple of mock drafts hit today. We talked about them briefly a little bit earlier in the show. Plus, we got to come up with our categories. We will do our bracket show tomorrow for our official entry. So we will do that coming up next as well. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
We know everything about you. We know you love the Buckeyes. We know you love the Jackets. We know you're wearing a red shirt. Just freak the hell out of someone. The Fan.
Miss, your burger is served.
Thank you.
And if I may suggest a pairing, this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. The sweetness of Pepsi perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger, while the citrus and carbonation elevates the taste for a truly stunning flavor profile. Bon appetit.
Now that is one perfect combination. If this is how the other half lives, I could get used to this. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us.
Hi, Kevin. How's my engine doing?
Well, you tell me, little lady.
What?
Ma'am, an engine is delicate. It's got a lot of parts. Rub it together.
Oh, is that so?
Lube her up real nice, and she'll purr like a kitty cat.
How do you know so much about engines?
Well, I spent a lot of time under that hood.
Babe, she is running hot. Let's go. And next time, I get to play the mechanic.
Rev up the romance with Lion's Den, the official store of pleasure, passion, and romance.
At Metal Supermarkets, we're all about getting you and your crew to quit in time sooner. That's why our service is a cut above. You see, no matter the project, we'll get you to the right metal, shape, and grade. Cut to any size, ready real fast. And yeah, we'll deliver, leaving plenty of time for the important things, like opening an ice-cold can of aluminum. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience store for metal.
It's March, and you know what that means. Bracket season. You've crunched the numbers, picked your favorites, and maybe even taken a big gamble on that Cinderella team. But when it comes to your home, gambling is not an option. Spring storms are rolling in, bringing strong winds, heavy rain, and unpredictable weather. The question is your roof ready? At Newman Roofing, we don't leave anything up to chance. Whether you need a new roof, gutter replacement, or updated siding, our expert team is here to educate you, guide you, and give you the best options to fit your home's needs. No high-pressure sales, no surprises, just top-quality work from a team you can trust. That's why homeowners choose Newman Roofing, the #1 overall seed here in Columbus, because we deliver an unbeatable customer experience every single time. So, don't wait until the damage is done. Beat the storm before it ruins your big dance. Call 614-NEW-ROOF. That's 614-NEW-ROOF, or visit online at newmanroofing.com to schedule your spot this spring. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
After an audit of our programming, the suits here at the Fan decided we needed more baseball. And that common man is stupid. Good news, we fixed one of those problems. Catch the Reds on the Fan all season long. Yay, baseball.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty. Do you want to sell your property, however, you need a little help getting through the process? Let's say you have years of belongings in the home. It needs a lot of updating, you're overwhelmed, and you may need help finding a place to go. I will help you. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or call me now for an all-cash offer and, more importantly, the help you need at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Some foot issues just can't be fixed by those expensive shoe stores or shoe inserts. A foot exam from a doctor of podiatric medicine, who is the medical expert in foot and ankle care, may give solutions after doing a complete foot examination. If you suffer from foot, heel, or ankle pain, let us help you find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association so you know you are being treated by the very best. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
A lot of sunshine out there today, high 69. Increasing clouds tonight with a low of 50. Sunshine tomorrow with afternoon clouds, high 72. First day of spring will be Thursday. It won't feel like spring, though, as we're going to be looking at some rain showers, along with the possibility of some snow mixing in, highs only in the 40s. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 weather impact forecasts on 97.1 The Fan.
Your morning just got beefier. Morning Juice with Beamer, Bobby, and Shark.
Weekdays from 6 to 9.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Connect with the show on X at 971BFS. Jump in our YouTube chat or just send a raven. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
And hey, Chuckle Bo here. Proud to tell you about my friends at Diamond Cellar, who know that forever starts with the perfect diamond. For over 78 years, their families help generations of couples celebrate love with brilliance, quality, and unbeatable prices. At Diamond Cellar, bigger diamonds and better prices are their promise to you. Whether you're popping the question or upgrading your sparkle, trust the experts at Diamond Cellar because diamonds are their forte. Visit Diamond Cellar today at Sawmill Road or Easton Town Center. Learn more at diamondcellar.com. Tell them I sent you. They'll take care of you on that side of things, as they always do. All right, listen, you know what we forgot, Reese? Well, it's customary here on the program to do Fergal Murray pouring Guinness on St. Patrick's Day. Now, we neglected it yesterday, so I'm considering doing it as officially endorsed tomorrow, because I feel like I need to have him in it, the master brewer at Guinness. That is customary that we have the official pour on St. Patrick's Day. And after we were done yesterday, I thought, God, we blew it. How did I miss that? Bad job.
Bad job at all of us. I completely forgot. Because St. Patrick's Day fell on a Monday.
Is that what it is? Probably.
That was what it was for me.
It was a Monday. Yeah, it was a Monday for all of us. Yeah.
We were like, are you doing anything for St. Patrick's Day? No, yeah. I'm working on Monday.
Yeah. Monday's probably the worst day for a boozy holiday. I think it's probably the worst one.
Because when you'd have it on like a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday, then you have the weekend and you have all that pomp and circumstance that is fitting for a holiday like St. Patty's.
Unless you act accordingly and take the day off.
You could do that, go short work week. that way.
But I feel like you want to save those days for March Madness right now.
And if you're boozing on a Monday, then like your energy is shot Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So like good luck being productive those other 4 days.
Even in college, Monday was the trickiest. It was the trickiest one to try to talk yourself in. Now, you could do it. Don't get me wrong. You could do it.
Oh, you could do it.
Monday was always the one that was toughest to kind of like, are we really going to run this back? Sunday was a day of rest. Monday, it's like, are we starting this now? Tuesday, you're ready to go, and now you're ready to get out there and live a little bit. But yeah, my God rest her soul. My mother, the only day she would let me skip school was the first day of the NCAA tournament. I could pick either Thursday or Friday, so I would look at the matchups and try to get a feel for it. And remember, out there in those days, a 12:20 tip is 10:20, so it's all day. It's hoops all day out there in that time zone. You're not waiting around, till afternoon. Like it hits. And so it was interesting looking back on it. I probably always should have just picked Friday to have the long weekend, but I definitely did it based on matchups, like which were the first round games I really wanted to see. And I would do it by matchups, but that was the one day where she let me skip, as opposed to my kids who skip all the time. Because I don't know.
Dorothy Mantooth was a saint.
Dorothy Mantooth was a saint. She really was. All right, so we do our. Oh, let me do the NFL. We'll get back to the brackets in a second because we need our categories for tomorrow's show because we'll enter the fan bracket challenge, and be able to put this in here as our show's page of it. Speaking of the fans bracket challenge, the bracket is now set. It's your turn to make your picks. Join the Fan and 10 TV's bracket challenge. Compete against your favorite Fan and 10 TV personalities. Our show will be in there. I'll do one. I'll put mine in there. You guys will put yours in there as well. But our show will put one in as well. The best part here: the top bracket wins $1,000. Hurry! The deadline is Thursday at noon. Head over to 971thefan.com to enter now. The Fan 10 TV bracket challenge is sponsored by Mountain Dew, Ohio Bottled, and Buckeye Bold. Beamsy had his first Mountain Dew on Saturday night, along with a Doritos Locos Tacos from Taco Bell. I said, how was it? He goes, it was so good. I said, I know it's so good, but we probably shouldn't make that a steady diet, bud. Probably not.
You gave him the taste.
On a one-off. Oh, God, dude, he got a little taste of it.
Yep.
Taco Bell turned him out.
Now, every time there's where are you thinking of going for lunch? Or where are you thinking of going for dinner?
Yeah. Can we go to Taco Bell?
The bell.
Speaking of College Mondays.
It rings for us all.
It really does. All right. So what we do here is we are all incredibly, we do a bracket. So we'll do this tomorrow. We'll do the 4 different brackets in 4 different categories is what we do. A couple of years ago, we got pretty dang close. I think the University of Miami made a run. And the reason they made a run in our bracket is because what could stop a hurricane? Because I think we did like what would win in a mascot fight.
We did a mascot fight. Yep.
Yeah, and like a hurricane's kind of unbeatable. I think it was like Cal State Fullerton that finally beat him because they're a Titan, and that seems like that could beat a hurricane, but it was up for debate. All right, so here's one that I would want. I think one of the categories that I want in here is would I host the coach's show rating? So that comes down to a combination of would you want to live in the town and do you think the coach would be fun to talk to? Like, would it be fun doing that show? Because I think there's some, like Calipari would be a ball doing the Calipari show. Like, that's going to be a great time. There's no doubt. Patino's probably going to be a great time at St. John's. John Shire, maybe not. He might not be doesn't feel like he's a barrel of laughs. So that, I like that one. Then we can go a bunch of different ways here. We can go desirable place to live. You could go desirable place to attend university. We could go branding, like who's crushing their mascot color scheme best. I do like the fight to the death. I think a fight to the death among mascots wins too. So those are some of the ones I'll throw out, but I'm willing to listen to you guys on some other ones as well.
I had coach we trust most with our finances.
Done. Sold. That's easy.
I was thinking, and this is almost like place you'd want to live, but I was thinking like scenery. Like where they're at, what's the scenery like as far as the outdoors? Like
vacationable destination?
Yeah, like you know how in Yellowstone they had the picturesque scenes and how beautiful that was. Like if you pan out and do that, what's the scene look like?
So maybe one of the brackets we judge by drone visuals.
That would be good. I like that.
Drone visual ratings, because that's all drone work that's done on Yellowstone. So maybe that's the case. Almost Quit 1923, Reese. I don't know if you're up to speed on it.
I did the first episode, and I was 5 minutes in, and I'm out.
It's so grim. They just went so grim. It's so much. It's hard to. They finally, like episode 5, like the second half was kind of fun, so that turned it around a little bit. But holy hell, like it's so grim. All right, so I like Would I like to host the coach's show? So that's a combination of live in the town. Is the coach a cool hang? I love the would you trust the coach as your financial advisor? I think that's a win. And I like the drone shot rating. Is this a place that when you see a drone shot on a Paramount Plus series, if you see it, you're like, I'd like to move there. So I'd like to visit there. Could be move or visit. Is it appealing? So I think those three are all very solid. Do we want the other one to be fight to the death mascot?
I think the mascot fight always wins because with this tournament, for anybody really, you always want to know who the mascot is, right? You always want to know, like a school I've never heard of, like this American University. They've got to be the Eagles, right? Or like Liberty. I've never heard of them. They're the Flames. Why is that the case?
Flames.
It provides good information, I think, for teams that you've never followed before.
Okay. I like fight to the death as the fourth category. So we'll go coaches we'd want to host a coaches show with. We will go coaches who you'd want handling your finances. We will go drone shots on Paramount Plus rating, scenery rating, and then we will go fight to the death as the fourth. I think when we get to the final four, then we can just go on what we think at that point, because you're going to have to do that too.
Didn't one year we do fair? Best 3 of 4 or like best of the 4? So we'd rank like if we had the schools in the final 4. So I did at our bracket challenge, I just did, there's a quick pick feature, and it gave us a national championship of Montana over Memphis. And to make the point, I would say if Montana and Memphis faced off in a national championship, then we would go Montana or Memphis. Would you like to host the coaches show in Montana or in Memphis? Who wins that one? Coaches a financial advisor. Who wins that one? Coaches with the drone shot rating.
Okay.
Mascot fight to the death. Who gets the most of those advances or is champion.
Okay, so we take the same criteria and we'll just play it out at the Final Four and national championship level all straight through.
Right.
Okay, so you're going to have 4. That's like probably a total of 5 segments tomorrow where we will have the fun with this. And then I think that's probably what it'll take to get this done. So we'll do that tomorrow on the program. I think the categories are winners, and we'll see what happens. We'll see where we end up here. Could be good. Could be good.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
We also need you to think of a cool bracket name for ours, because we get a couple thousand entries into this bracket challenge. And so I need everybody to at least come up with a name that we can easily search, because we're not thinking it's going to be at the top of the leaderboard. So
No.
Do a little digging.
I mean, I feel like somehow we got to get the Ponderosa in this, right?
Well, we could. We could also use William Tecumseh Sherman in some way in there too, but we also have to be identifiable so that it's easy for people to see where we are. All right, so we'll come up with it, but we'll do that tomorrow on the program. Uncle Dom with stories of March Madness in 2 minutes. It always wins. Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan. Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Who's cutting down the nets this year? Get in on all the tournament action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest upsets to placing bets in just a few taps. All tournament long, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app. Sign up with the promo code Radio100 to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
The best matchup is you in a new ride at Coughlin Chevrolet, Central Ohio's #1 Chevy dealer. Lease a new 25 Chevy Trax, $149 a month. Your choice. New 25 Trailblazer or 24 Blazer EV RS. Lease for $169 a month. At all 5 Coughlin Chevy locations and CoughlinChevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
Coughlin has the car for you.
36, 42, and 24-month leases, 10,000 miles per year, 25 cents per mile over, $39.99 due at signing plus tax, title, and license. See dealer for details. Ends 3/31/25.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Bishop and Friends present Tuesdays with Tiberi.
Oh, baby. Time for a little Tuesdays with Tiberi on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. Buddy, I am seeing flat DOMs everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm seeing you with flat DOMs, people with flat DOMs.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah,
it's everything I've ever wanted.
And you know what I do is I've been going, and I got to figure which one I'm going to, but I've been going to a different Jersey Mike's every day and eating and taking pictures with the folks there. It's amazing. If you don't know what's going on, the month of March is Jersey Mike's month of giving.
Yep.
And so folks, they picked the Maria Tiberi Foundation this year, and I've been getting texts from folks that see these 6-foot cutouts of me and all the Jersey Mikes. So it's amazing. My wife would like to have one, and I don't know what she's going to do with it, but she said, I want one of those.
I told you I want one.
Yeah, great. What are you going to do with it? Just yell, get up every morning and yell. Put it in your bedroom at the foot of your bed. Almighty. Just have me staring at you and your wife, and you can get up every morning and yell at me.
Just
get out of here, you idiot.
Just you looking over my shoulder?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, my God.
Mounted above your bed.
Oh, my God almighty. I can't do that. I could put you in the office, though. That would be fun to have you in the office to look at a little bit. It's awesome.
How about if we take there's like 35 or 40 of them, take them all, and we just put them in people's houses while they're sleeping, and you wake up and there's 35 DOMs staring at you.
35 flat DOMs staring at you. That's everything I want. It's honestly, we ordered it. We usually once a weekend with all the boys' sports.
Oh yeah.
We end up sucking them down. So it's cool to see a flat.
Let me tell you what. I've always loved Jersey Mike's because I'm a big fan of the Philly cheesesteak. But to be part of this, and to think, on March 26th, if you go any day, folks, March 26th. All sales that day go to the Maria Tiberi Fund. Not just profits. Every sale they make goes to us. So
that's awesome.
March 26th, I hope you take everybody and eat.
You and I have talked about this a lot. I started the week with this. I think the most fun you can have covering a team or being a fan of a team during an event is March Madness if you make a run.
Right.
It's so much fun. You don't know where you're going. You go from town to town. You get to explore the towns. Your team's making a run. It becomes a real sense of traveling community.
Right.
I miss it. It's been a long time since we've had one of these. It's been a dozen years since you've reached the second round of the NCAA tournament with the Buckeyes. You miss it, right? It's been too long, Dommy.
Yeah, it has. And, we got spoiled when Coach Mata was here. You think about some of the runs that he had and some of the trips that we had with him. I will always cherish that trip that you and I started. We went to Pittsburgh. We went to Boston. We went to New Orleans. We had Scooney Penn with us. I think it's a whole new era, though. I don't know how this is going to work out, to be honest with you. And let me just say this. You look at the state of Ohio, and obviously Ohio is, when it comes to football, Ohio State is king.
Mm-hmm.
But in basketball, Ohio State does have competition. You look at Xavier. You look at Cincinnati. You even look at the University of Dayton.
Sure.
And those three schools in particular, I think, are putting an emphasis when it comes to NIL and that type stuff on basketball. And, you look at Ohio State, and obviously in football, they're going to be king. But I think they've got some questions, and I think they got to take a hard look at what they want to do with basketball because, we're talking about 3 programs already in the state of Ohio that I mentioned that, are going to compete against Ohio State in that, avenue for players and with the NIL money and all that stuff. So it's a whole different world. I think it is. I think Ohio State, and, they were on the bubble. Obviously, if they would have got one more win, they would have gotten in.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting what the governor from West Virginia is claiming, and, all that stuff.
Jeez.
It's
How about that guy?
Yeah. Here's the bottom line. Here's what,
That's how he's spending his Tuesday.
I know. 68 teams, right? Is that what
Yeah,
it's
68.
in now? And I agree with you. You know what? I think the play-in games in Dayton should be for the big boys. Some of these teams like North Coast, Alabama, Central State, whatever these teams
Let 'em
are.
in.
They did everything they had to do put them in the tournament and let the play-in games mean something, because no one wants to watch that. I mean, who wants to watch any of those games tonight? And as you said, it's not for television or whatever. But I don't know. People always say, should we expand it? Should we do this? They've taken it. I think Ohio State and I think Cincinnati, I think Indiana, I think it would have been fun to see those clubs. We're talking about, those are high-profile programs. I would think you'd want them in the tournament because of the way they travel and the fan base and all that. So I don't know. I mean, I look at the high school tournament. Everybody gets in, right?
Yeah.
For the state of Ohio. I mean, it's how much more would it take if they would expand it to everybody or the top 128 or whatever? I mean, whatever. But I think you're right because there's a whole segment of fans that love going to the NCAA tournament. You and I saw it. We experienced it. It's fun. It's the whole, and especially when they make them regionalized, I mean, and they were supposedly going to do that. But I think about that run when Ohio State started in Pittsburgh, when we were in Pittsburgh. That was great, seeing it's just, 3-hour drive, all those Buckeye fans there, or when they played up in Cleveland. That was fun.
Yeah, that was Cleveland to Newark.
Yeah, I mean, that was fun. I feel bad that Ohio State didn't get in. And let me just say this. I'm a big fan of Jake Diebler. I like him. There's going to be a bit of a learning curve. He's never been a head coach before. And, I think that if there was adversity, they found it this year to deal with. I mean, from, Michie Johnson leaving to some of the injuries and just, it was a tough year. And I give him credit for keeping them together. This team did have some big wins. I mean, they won some big games.
Sure,
and
Kentucky for sure.
They were probably one win away from getting in, and it's unfortunate. They played well to start the season, but it's we all know it's how you finish, and it was not a good finish for them.
Yeah, I mean they lost 5 of their last 7. You win 1, you're in.
Right.
I mean, I think it's kind of that simple. So, like, I have it, this governor from West Virginia, like, I have a hard time feeling sorry for these teams. Like, you're talking about valedictorian to summer school here. You're talking about the 68th team in. Like,
right.
68 teams are in this thing. So, like, I think it's the big thing I'm curious about, I led the show with this yesterday, Dami. I wonder if the Big Ten will start to put an emphasis on basketball the way that the Southeastern Conference has. The SEC got 14 teams in. They were big time on NIL in men's basketball at places like Auburn and Florida and Tennessee. They got $26 million on the first round, and they make $2 million a game going forward. There's money in the men's basketball tournament.
Right.
I wonder if the Big Ten, if what happened this year with just 10 of their 18 teams playing postseason, if the Big Ten will look around and go, hey, it's cool having 30-some sports, but we really got to be good at men's basketball. I do wonder if it'll be a catalyst.
And you wonder with the landscape, because I do think when you look at the landscape of college athletics, I think we could have agreed that just a few years ago that the SEC was probably the premier conference in the country when it came to college football.
No doubt.
I think there's been a changing of the guard in that, and I've said it before. I think all the money, and I think that the Big Ten is going to become the football conference. I think that that's where we're heading, and once they get Notre Dame in the mix, and it's not going to change. And the deal is, as I've said before, the money is in the industrial cities. The money is in the north. And when the SEC was able to do their business when they were doing it, it was a different landscape. But now everyone's on the same playing field. And so maybe the SEC is going to put an emphasis on basketball. Maybe that's why guys like Nick Saban got out. They saw the tea leaves, what was coming.
Yeah, they threw money at basketball with coaches, with NIL, with facilities, and they got 14 teams in.
Yeah,
so
I think that might be it because they're not. I think the SEC's glory days in football, at least for the Alabamas, those core states. Now, I think the oil money states that are in the SEC are going to do well.
Yeah,
I think Texas is, the state of Texas is going to do well. I think Oklahoma is going to do well because we got money there.
Yeah,
but agriculture versus industry, We've talked about it in the past, but I just look at it's a crossroads, not only for the Big Ten, but I think for Ohio State. They got to make a decision. How much do we want to put into men's basketball? And, I go back to when Ross Bjork was hired. The first thing I heard him say is football is king.
Mm-hmm. No, it is. Yeah. And for the longest time around here, what you want for the basketball program is to be in the mix when the football season is over.
Right.
And that's really when we really start to engage on them. And this year they had that chase, but weren't able to get in. So, no, I miss it. I miss going to it. I love a dance through March. It's absolutely joy.
We had a ball. I mean, it was fun. God. Just dry. You think about some of my favorite experiences was you and me hanging out in Pittsburgh. We went to a little restaurant. We didn't do Permanis, but we did do DeLuca's, which was excellent.
Yeah, for sure.
Remember that place?
I do.
And then we went to Boston, and you and we went to the North End.
Oh yeah, we did.
And hung with some of the fellas.
Some friends of ours.
And then we also did, we did the chowder all over. For lunch we would do chowder, and at night we go to North End. Yeah. And then I think about New Orleans. We went to every Dickie. Bo's mission, guys, was we're going to go to every Dickie Brennan's restaurant there was in the Big Easy, and there were several.
There were
from Commander's Palace to what was that brunch place you took me to? That was pretty neat.
I think it was Brennan's, wasn't it?
Was it Brennan's?
Yeah,
I just remember they came by when they had the thing where they scraped they scraped your table to get the crumbs off. Remember, like a little.
Oh yeah, they do white tablecloth right in the Crescent City, buddy.
It was pretty cool, man. Yeah, and then we would ask them. I got to ask you, what is in this recipe? This is and remember every one of them. Well, you start with 8 sticks of butter.
You wanted
everything
to do the
had
barbecue
butter
chicken.
in it.
The barbecue shrimp recipe, the barbecue sauce, and they said we don't ever give it out. Dami charmed them to the point where they showed him it, and it was 1.5 pounds of butter.
Yeah, butter.
Everything was a pound and a half of butter.
Sir, how's your cholesterol? It's not very good, but it tastes good.
But God, this tastes great.
Oh my God!
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks
hey, by the way, have fun on spring break with the kids. And you said a C+. I think you did an A.
No. This is we'll see. We're halfway home. We'll see what the rest of the show looks like.
I got Reeser in here standing on his head.
Well, good talking to you.
Good looking hair he's got today.
He always has great hair. We'll do a little figured out thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Winners of the prestigious Platinum Microphone Award every year, given to the best radio station in the world. No need to look it up. It's real. The Fan.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
1-800-GOT-JUNK makes space for possibilities.
When our clean, shiny truck arrives, it's the sign of a new beginning, a clean start, a breath of fresh air.
All the animals start giggling, a rainbow appears, and music fills the air.
Your best friend calls with happy news. Every table has fresh flowers on it, and your nights are full of candlelight.
We bring the springtime.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
I'm an old school Joe. I never lay juice I don't want to lay. I don't hate my money like that. I'd rather lay minus 108 than minus 110, wouldn't you? Prime Sports is Ohio's full-time reduced juice sportsbook. Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, Kevin. How's my engine doing?
Well, you tell me, little lady.
What?
Ma'am, an engine is delicate. It's got a lot of parts rubbing together.
Oh, is that so?
Lube her up real nice, and she'll purr like a kitty cat.
How do you know so much about engines?
Well, I spent a lot of time under that hood.
Babe, she is running hot. Let's go. And next time, I get to play the mechanic.
Rev up the romance with Lion's Den, the official store of pleasure, passion, and romance.
Unlock big savings and add style and security to your home with Schlag Door Locks from Menards. Whether you're looking for a traditional interior lock or a Wi-Fi compatible electronic lock, Menards has you covered with more than 200 options of Schlag Door Locks in stock. Save big on all door locks. And don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
That's the sound of a Mountain Dew. And that's you enjoying its refreshing citrus kick. That's a cool breeze suddenly whistling through your hair.
Whoa!
That's you realizing you're now on a mountain.
This is epic!
That's you stating the obvious. That's you stepping up to the plate. That's you winning your kickball game.
Yes! Let's go!
That's you taking another sip of your
Mountain Dew.
Do the Do.
The brackets are out, and now it's time to win some cash. Enter the Fan and 10 TV Bracket Challenge for your chance to win $1,000.
Sponsored by Mountain Dew, Ohio bottled, Buckeye Gold.
Compete against your favorite Fan and 10 TV personalities, and compete against the ones you hate, too. Registration closes at noon on Thursday, so don't wait till the final buzzer. Head to 971thefan.com for all the fun. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Looking to sell your home? Don't pay 6% commission. Call my guys at Sell for 1% Realtors. They're full service, not a do-it-yourself kind of thing. On average, customers save over $10,000. Give them a call, 614-451-6616. That's 451-6616.
Love Logan Services? Share your story and be rewarded. Refer your friends and your family for their heating, cooling, and plumbing needs and earn up to $200. Visit us online for details. Excellence in every degree. That's Logan Services.
Basketball from noon to midnight. Scotty Vegas here, and we're throwing a Vegas-style basketball party at Hollywood Casino at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. I even went out to Vegas to scout out how to throw this party. Tough assignment. The Fan is doing 24 hours of watch parties. The opening weekend of the tournament, there'll be custom T-shirts, Pop-A-Shot, horse games. Oh, and don't miss a game with a 50-foot video wall. Reserve your spot at HollywoodColumbus.com. Must be 21 or older to enter. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Federal Elite Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
First Friday miracles are always better with Uncle Bo. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Tuesday. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
All right, you and Dami mentioned it in the last segment, but on Wednesday, the governor of West Virginia, Patrick Morrisey, called for the state's attorney general to investigate the NCAA to ensure their tournament selection process is transparent and fair after the Mountaineers were one of the first four out of the big dance. Morrisey did this in front of a lectern with a sign that read National Corrupt Athletic Association.
And we keep hearing about the importance of these quad one wins, but UNC couldn't even get more than one. They also had the 25th toughest schedule in America, right behind WVU. Now, here's something you may not know. UNC had representation in the room during the selection process. Let me repeat that. UNC had representation in the room during the selection process. Bubba Cunningham is the athletic director for UNC. He also happens to be the head of the tournament selection committee. Now, it's being reported by a number of outlets that Cunningham had a significant bonus incentive, at least $70,000 to get into the tournament, arguably more if they advanced, with more incentives on the way. And I want folks to let that sink in for just a minute. Of the 111 brackets that were projected pertaining to North Carolina, UNC was only in 27 of them. This stinks at the highest level. Now, when pressed on why the committee left WVU out, Bubba Cunningham, once again, the AD, the school that deprived WVU of the slot, blamed the injury on a WVU player being out, Tucker DeVries. But we know this doesn't pass the smell test. And the WVU, I believe, went 13-10 with DeVries outside the lineup. And they still had huge victories against Kansas and Iowa State. Any way you slice it, this thing reeks of corruption.
Thing or not a thing?
Jimmy Crack Corn and I don't care, Patrick Morrissey. So here's the thing. It's just so silly. Like, it's amazing how you can frame something now in the public light and it can almost be your truth now. Everything's George Costanza. It's not a lie if you believe it. First of all, most teams, my hunch is most teams that make the NCAA tournament, their athletic director's in that room because it's made up of athletic directors. So Gene Smith has chaired this committee when Ohio State was in the tournament. He chaired it for a while, and he was the guy in Bubba Cunningham's spot. It's being reported that he gets an incentive for them making the tournament. Bubba Cunningham probably makes a good deal of money at North Carolina. My hunch is an extra $70,000 is not going to put him over the top one way or another. The other thing about this is if you are on the committee, you have to excuse yourself from the room when your team's being talked about. That's the other part of it. And the last part of it is my hunch is the state of West Virginia has bigger problems than West Virginia being jobbed out of the last spot. West Virginia was 10-10 in their league. North Carolina was 13-7. So we're arguing about two teams that are not significant anyway. Like, this is worth the governor of West Virginia so they could have played in a play-in game? Really? Is that worth it? It's just a waste of time on all fronts.
Don't lose to Pitt by 24 at the beginning of the season. Don't lose to Colorado to end your season. Win your damn games. Can we quit, please, arguing about mediocrity? And, Bo, you already know my stance on this. Get government out of sports. Like, you're the governor of West Virginia. Man, you better make sure that the country roads are all pristine if you're going to be getting into this fight.
Yes, you ought to.
Ross Dellinger astutely pointed out that if this sounds familiar, Florida politicians launched something similar when FSU was left out of the CFP.
What is the win for them? I guess we're
cheap
talking
political
about
points. We're talking about it.
I guess that's the win because there's no
fighting for West Virginians.
Yeah, I guess nothing ever comes of it.
On Monday, four-star defensive tackle Treshawn Ruffin flipped his commitment from Texas A&M to North Carolina. He's the highest-rated commitment for UNC since Bill Belichick took over in December. The 6'3", 305-pound Ruffin is the 12th highest-ranked prospect from the state of North Carolina in the 26th cycle and the 17th highest-rated defensive tackle in the class. Ruffin had been committed to Texas A&M since October, but a recent visit to Chapel Hill that included a Duke-UNC game may have changed his mind. Thing or not a thing?
Not a thing yet. I mean, we're a long way before they sign on the line, which is dotted, and this is the 12th highest-ranked prospect in North Carolina, 17th-ranked defensive tackle. That does not move the needle for me. This feels like a minimum requirement for Bill Belichick. I do think it's wild that last week the news came out that all emails to Belichick have to go through his girlfriend, who's 24. Like, she's on the emails. What are we doing? What is he doing? It's wild. what the life choices Belichick is making. Like, he's an Instagram boyfriend. You see the pictures over the weekend of him, her laying on his feet on the beach. I mean, it's just crazy what he's chosen.
That's what I was just going to say, is maybe Ruffin saw the beach photo shoot and thought, I want to be a part of that and that program.
So weird.
This could be the beginning of a thing, though, right, Bo? Like, sometimes all it takes is one big-time recruit to get something going, get something started there. I just still can't believe, and there's going to be a few recruits that want to go play for Bill Belichick. I just can't believe this is going to turn into recruiting success, because what's the chances that Bill Belichick's going to be there at the end for you?
Well, furthermore, if you're at North Carolina and you have a finite amount of money that you want to throw into NIL, my hunch is it would be towards the basketball program that just barely got in the NCAA tournament.
You would think that West Virginia is going to sue because they're in.
Yeah, right.
This past Friday, Nevada head basketball coach Steve Alford was asked about the current landscape of college athletics.
It used to be, hey, what's my degree going to look like? What's your facilities look like? What's your relationship with the team look like? Are you there for all practices? Are you a coach that dives into relationships, and you're going to care for my child? You might as well throw all that stuff out, because the only question they're concerned about is what they're getting paid in the portal. And to me, that's a terrible model for an 18-year-old, because truth be told, then a lot of 18 and 19-year-olds are raising family members now, and that's not what you go off to college for. That's just not. And so that's frustrating, because I don't like our model at all. I don't know how that's going to change now that the genie's out of the bottle. It's not name, image, and likeness. That's not what it is. Most of them are getting what they're getting before they ever produce. You should have to produce, then you receive. It's a bad lesson, and we shouldn't be sending kids off to college academically or in our profession to teach them bad models for when they're 25 and 26. Like, I got 5 players now. NIL's done in 2 months. What happens to them? Are they going to be able to handle the real world now after having NIL for a couple of years at Nevada or wherever they've been? Are they going to really be prepared to handle the things that, I'm not getting that money. I have to go earn that money? Teaching them that.
Thing or not a thing?
It's an accurate thing. But the adults in the room led us down this road. There's no coming back from it. Everything he said's true. It's all true. But as the courts have continued to point out, fellas, in this country, you're worth what someone is willing to pay you. And that is something that anytime you get in front of a court of law, you're going to lose. And that's the reality of it. Like, we're here now. There's no change in it.
Yeah, I mean, he said it well. It's just, this is the system they've allowed to happen, right? These coaches should have got on their ADs and people to get out ahead of this and get some rules in place and do whatever they had to, whether it be contracts or whatnot. Unfortunately, now they got to deal with it.
Yes, they do. Much more on dealing with this that you're going to have to do more of coming up at 11:30. Coming up next, Ryan Day on day one, the quarterbacks. What does he see? We played some of this for you, but some illuminating answers from your coach coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Question from a listener: do you dopes ever get tired of talking about Ohio State? No. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter, and spring is here, and it's time to refresh your yard with Ohio Mulch. With 15 convenient locations in Central Ohio, it's easier than ever to get mulch ready for the season. Now through April 5th, get 5 bags of red, black, or brown mulch for just $10.95. Need it delivered? No problem. Save $50 on home delivery when you order online. Visit OhioMulch.com today and spruce up your yard with the best.
Ohio Mulch, landscape supply, cleaner, greener, better.
Breaking news.
Is on at Lindsay Honda.
Shoot your shot and save.
It's madness. You get to choose your finance rate on over 600 new Lindsay Hondas. 0%, 1.9, 2.9, and up to a full 60 months long. And no trade-in required. This deal works with 0 down. March is on at Lindsay Honda. Save with rates as low as 0% at lindsayhonda.com.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference.
See lindsayhonda.com for details.
Welcome to Tire Discounters.
Thanks. I gotta warn you, I drive a hard bargain.
Okay.
So let's hear your first offer.
Well, how about, with any 4-tire purchase, we'll give you a free alignment.
Man, I'm good. All right, let's do it before you change your mind.
And we'll also give you a free oil change.
Ha! I can't believe I talked you into this deal. Sometimes I amaze even myself.
Don't tell accounting. But with any 4-tire purchase at Tire Discounters, you get a free alignment and a free full synthetic oil change. See store for details.
Hey friends, Beamer here, and all right, get this. If my scale had feelings, I think it'd be filing a restraining order. I am down now 63 pounds in just 14 weeks. You do the math on that, that's about 4.5 pounds every single week. Last week alone, another 4.2, poof, gone. The fat just keeps melting off, and let me tell you, I really owe 99% of this to my coach, Natalie. She's not just helping me lose weight, she's out here engineering it, tweaking my plan each week, making sure I don't miss a snack, telling me to add more butter. Yep, heard that right. Well, olive oil in there too, that's pretty good, and basically being the therapist we all need when making a gigantic life change. Wouldn't you say 63 pounds is a big 180? This is what Awaken 180 brings. Guidance, support, and a plan that actually works. There's no guesswork, there's no starvation, no magic potions, just real results week after week, brick by brick. If you're tired of hoping the weight will come off, get with Awaken 180 and know that it will. 63 pounds down, how much do you want to lose? You can start today at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800.
Good morning, beat freaks. Who's ready to move? Let's start this day right.
Tasha's morning dance parties are meeting rave reviews.
Lose your phones and find your groove.
They need an ops manager to help their community dance the morning away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Vivid Seats is your ultimate destination for basketball and hockey this season. With a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets, they make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. Catch every one-timer and buzzer-beating 3 live and in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit VividSeats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The big dance begins tonight with 2 of the first 4 play-in games over the UD Arena in Dayton. St. Francis takes on Alabama State at 6:40, while North Carolina and San Diego State go around 9:10 tonight. The women's NCAA tournament begins on Wednesday. Ohio State will host Montana State Friday in their first-round matchup at the Shot. Tip-off there 5:30. Winner gets Tennessee or South Florida Sunday in the second round. In the NBA tonight, the Cavaliers are at the Clippers at 10:30. It's the first of a 4-game road trip. Cleveland's got the best record in the association at 56-11. And in the NHL, the Blue Jackets slide continued last night. The Jackets fell to the Devils 2-1 at Nationwide. CBJ did score a goal in the loss. Their 4th straight defeat, though. Columbus will host the Florida Panthers Thursday night at 7 o'clock. o'clock. This update is sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union. Enjoy rates as low as 9.90% APR with a Visa Platinum credit card. Apply online at bmifcu.org/Visa.
After putting up with Tom Tiberi for a decade, the broadcast gods gave Bo these two. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, final hour here on a Tuesday edition of the program. Coach Prime with some interesting thoughts on spring football. We will get to that coming up at 11:17, and then some NCAA rules that will quite honestly just make it more lawless than it already is. But I think probably something they have to do if they're going to try to have any sort of chance at winning in this settlement of the very latest House case. Ryan Day, though, available yesterday after the first practice of spring football. Obviously, all eyes are going to be on the quarterback. Before we get into that, though, he said he had an answer to a question. There was something we all noticed, not just us here on the show, but the guys in the room, probably many of you out there listening. There was an ease in Ryan Day's voice. There was a confidence in it, a man fully formed as your head coach. And he was asked kind of that question, and he gave what I thought was the most illuminating answer of the entire press conference in terms of what validates where he is now. Let's have a listen.
I have a chance to speak to a lot of different coaches, which is great, and it's it's a blessing. So many different people reach out, after you win something, and you get a chance to share ideas and thoughts, and but at the end of the day, to me, it's the process. You have to trust your process and trust your culture, and really, to me, what that last run just solidified, I think, for everybody in the building. It's just like the culture works, the system works, how we do it, our process works. It just gave credibility to everything we're doing. And truth be told, when you're a first-time head coach and you haven't done it before, and you become the head coach at Ohio State, you typically don't get the benefit of the doubt until you win it all. Because you haven't really done it yet. It's like anything else. And so now we have the testimony moving forward, and I think for our guys, that's the most powerful thing we can do.
He's emboldened. He should be. I loved in the press conference when he talked about the hiring of Hartline and Patricia, and he brought up Saban, and he studied what Nick did at Alabama. He even said it yesterday in the press conference, man, a lot can change in a couple months. Yeah, sure can. You win the ultimate prize, you have that ultimate run through the college football playoff, and it manifests with a national title. Now you can do things exactly the way you want to do them. That's what he sounded like to me yesterday, fellas. That's what it sounded like in the proof in the pudding in terms of the coaches hired. You had two highly experienced defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator who went elsewhere after winning that national championship, and he went in a relatively unproven way on the offensive side with Brian Hartline. And certainly have full faith that Brian's going to get that done, but he's not Chip Kelly in terms of the resume. We'll see if he can get there. And then truly on the defensive side, kind of an out-of-the-nowhere pick in Matt Patricia. Very different from a guy who was proven and hardened in college football the way Jim Knowles does. So this is a guy to me this is Ryan Day in full now. And this is a guy who is freed of the shackles of expectations.
And I'm glad it still sounds like he's enjoying very much the process. Yeah. He's still very much enjoying everything that he's done over the past 365 days, because it's March 18th. I know February was a shortened month, but we're not 2 months removed from January 20th. When they won the national championship. No. And so all of that would put, I think, a normal person, I know it did for me, where I don't miss football games right now. And normally I would be because of how many we had and how much we had to cover in that extra month. And I would think it would feel copy and paste, but he seems reinvigorated. He seems refreshed. It's something that I think when Ohio State fans listen to him talk, and I think when they see what's coming in the next couple of weeks from this team, you certainly saw videos yesterday, this is something to be really excited about and to continue building on what they had last year, even with new faces and new names, like you mentioned, at different spots.
It's got to be, it's a different feeling, right, for him than he's ever had. Yeah. Because he's so far as a head coach come up short in these moments. And to finally get it done, that's got to make you feel good about what you're doing. Because all of us, and we talked about this with Dean Evison earlier, and he's talking about they didn't win the game, but it still feels really good. Well, you can only say that so many times when you're at the ultimate level, the ultimate spot in the sport, and you keep coming up short. Eventually, you got to start doubting yourself. And that creeps into everything in what you're doing.
That's human nature, right? It wasn't just the Michigan stuff. It was also kind of like against top 5 opponents, those type of things. Well, that's all done. You had Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame. Like, that's all done. It's all vaporized. And so this is a guy coaching free of any burden whatsoever. Obviously, the headliner in yesterday's practice was the quarterback position. You did not get anything named. You weren't going to get a pecking order. You weren't going to get this guy they all looked good. They all looked young. He even had a funny line where he said, after the day one of spring, I'm like, we're not going to win a game. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. But I did think he gave a good answer in terms of the process of developing and naming a quarterback. How he's going to go about it, I do think, is critical. Here's Ryan on that.
Just understanding that the process is going to be a battle, but like you have to make sure when you walk in that building every day that you're prepared. You also have to throw it out there and make sure that you understand you're going to fail, but that you have to learn quickly. And if you're continually making the same mistakes over and over again, it's going to take longer to get to where you want to be and win the job. And then as we start getting closer to, like we talk about the preseason, where I got to take care of the football, I got to do really well on third down, I got to win in the red zone. And then everybody's different. Every quarterback's different. Will was a lot different than CJ. CJ was a lot different than Dwayne. Dwayne was different than Justin. Like, everyone's different. And so these quarterbacks are different as well. Different size, different makeup, different skill sets. So the number one job, though, for the quarterback is to be the hardest working guy in the building. There shouldn't be any question. Like, if someone says, who's the hardest working guy, it should be the quarterback. If it's somebody else, like, that's a problem. Because they should be the first one in the building and the last one to leave. And then they have to be tough. If it's 4th and 2 against Texas, like, we got to find a way to get 3 yards. That's the bottom line. And those guys understand that. They know it. Mick reinforces it in the weight room daily. But those are some of the things that we talk about at quarterback.
I do think, and I've said this all along, I do think this is a little different than his previous coaching jobs in terms of the quarterback room. I think certainly Julian is the leader, but I do think it's a pretty wide open process. It's probably most similar to Kyle and Devin. And I think these guys are more talented than those two, but I think it's probably more similar to that in terms of Kyle had the lead, and it would have taken a lot for Devin to unseat him. I think the same is probably true between Julian and Lincoln at the moment right now. But he just gave you the plan and the blueprint of what he's going to look for. As I've said all along, though, I don't think that he can take this multiple weeks into fall camp, because you're not opening with some of the teams we've opened with previously. You're opening with Texas.
I don't think he can take it a week into fall camp.
Yeah, I think it's got to be pretty quick, too. I think it's got to be pretty quick, Reese. I think he's got to, because it's a young guy. Like, he talked there about leadership, first one in, last one to leave, all of that. You can't have 3 guys doing that, right? 3 can do it, but 1 has to lead.
Because realistically, like that, those 3 young guys aren't that the separators, the credentials he listed there. Like, those 3 are all going to be that.
Yeah,
it's like, who's going to be the earliest of the 3? It's like, then you're splitting hairs and making it weird. Like, the guy is going to show out with the talent. Like, there's all 3 of them are talented. When you're a quarterback at Ohio State in that room, you're going to be talented. We know this, but it's going to be little things that you do on the field that are going to separate you from if you're a weight room warrior. So it can't, like, lean on anything like that, because that's not going to help you beat Texas as much as throwing a perfect ball.
Yeah.
Reading a
and
defense.
Believing you can make the throw the perfect ball, and believing that what you see is what is reality happening on the field. All of those things are critical leading into opening against a team like Texas. Deion Sanders had a hell of an idea when it comes to spring football. We will share that with you coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We're the highest rated sports radio station in America. There's no joke there. We just are. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Hey, Ohio State fans. While others cut corners, like that team up north, Valvoline Instant Oil Change is Buckeye level quality. We train hard and treat every day like game day. We're always quick, but never rushed. And you can stay in your car while our experts do the work. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Visit valvoline.com/Buckeyes to find your nearest location and access exclusive fan savings.
Bring the thrill of the stadium to your wallet with the Love My Crew checking account from Pathways, the only checking account that rewards you for being a Crew fan. Pathways Financial Credit Union, your true financial partner. Federally insured by NCUA.
A pepperoni pizza for the table.
Thank you.
May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness, while the carbonation and notes of citrus enhance the flavor profile. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time.
Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Everybody poops, everybody pees. Mommy, will you call Mr. Rooter, please? 'Cause I gotta poop and I gotta pee. Only Mr. Rooter can clear the drain for me. Thank you, Mr. Rooter.
Hi, everybody. We call it what it is at Mr. Rooter. When you have a plumbing or drain problem, the team at Mr. Rooter is ready 7 days a week. Call us today and take advantage of our $95 drain cleaning special. Visit us at MrRooter.com. We'll be there quick.
Guys, it's D. Miller. Let's talk about feeling your best. If you don't feel the same energy, strength, maybe feeling moody, or it seems you lost your drive with your partner, it could be low testosterone. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be the answer, and you'll find true experts at Low T Center. Getting tested is fast and easy. Don't settle for a standard doses TRT program. I learned about the personalized therapy at Low T Center and the results you can expect with customized TRT. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Hi, Kevin. How's my engine doing?
Well, you tell me, little lady.
What?
Ma'am, an engine is delicate. It's got a lot of parts rubbing together.
Oh, is that so?
Lube her up real nice, and she'll purr like a kitty cat.
How do you know so much about engines?
Well, I spent a lot of time under that hood.
Babe, she is running hot. Let's go. And next time, I get to play the mechanic.
Rev up the romance with Lion's Den, the official store of pleasure, passion, and romance.
Here's 3 reasons to buy your Blue Jackets ticket plans for the 25-26 season. 1, pick your seat and pick your games. 2, plans start at just 11 games. 3, priority access to Stanley Cup playoff tickets. Act now. Visit BlueJackets.com/tickets. The Fan has been ranked as the second best sports station in America by our industry peers. Our heartfelt thank you is in order. But we're not doing it because we're better than that hillbilly Birmingham station that came in first. Thanks for nothing.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty. Do you want to sell your property, however, you need a little help getting through the process? Let's say you have years of belongings in the home. It needs a lot of updating, you're overwhelmed, and you may need help finding a place to go. I will help you. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or call me now for an all-cash offer and, more importantly, the help you need at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
March is Women's History Month, and we are celebrating all the incredible women who have shaped our past and who continue to pave the way for a bright future for all of us. It's important to make sure women are in the room when decisions are made about our schools and communities. Let's work together to ensure we all have a seat at the table.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Great day today to be outside doing a little bit of spring cleaning or maybe getting in that afternoon walk. Lots of sunshine, high around 70. Tomorrow will be equally as warm, and in fact, it might actually be a little bit warmer with a high around 72, with winds as high as 35 miles per hour. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
If you're starting your day any other way, you're doing it wrong. Morning Juice with Bobby and Beamer.
Weekdays starting at 6.
The Fan. Pull up a stool and ask the bartender for something neat, because Uncle Bo is on the radio. This is Bishop and Friends.
Indeed it is, and as is customary, we are proud to be sponsored by our great friends at Diamond Cellar, your true jeweler for over 78 years. It's a hell of an idea from Coach Prime. It's an NFL idea, and as we get closer and closer to the NFLification of men's college football at the highest level, this seems like a no-brainer. So this was Coach Prime from on Monday with the quote, I would actually like to play this spring game against another team in the spring. That's what I'm trying to do right now. I'd like to style it like the pros. I'd like to go against someone for practice for a few days and then have the spring game. I think the public would be satisfied with that tremendously. I think it's a tremendous idea. I think he's right. I think it's a tremendous idea, and I think they should do this. This is essentially what has replaced the preseason in the NFL, which is the joint practices. The joint practices are more important than the preseason game for the ones. The preseason games are about the back end of the roster. It's about the guys trying to make the team. It's about a rookie quarterback getting reps. But the real work is done in NFL training camps, is done in the joint practices. And we've seen now to the point over the last half dozen years where every team in the league does this. They all play a joint practice, and then it leads into a preseason game, so you get some work. Sometimes you do it twice. I think last year the Browns did it twice, had two separate ones. And so this is something that is just a regular occurrence now. I love the idea of this. I love the marketability of this. I think you can control it. I think you could televise it. I think if all of a sudden Ohio State for the last 2 or 3 practices leading into the spring game, if Cincinnati came up and you put them up in hotels and they practiced against the Buckeyes for a couple of practices, and then you played a very guarded spring game, much like a preseason NFL game. Like, you don't need to see Caleb Downs in that game. You don't need to see Jeremiah Smith in that game. But you can see Devin Sanchez in that game. You can see Riley Pettyjohn in that game. You could see Bo Jackson in that game. You can see these young kids. You can see Tavian St. Clair play a game of football. Say Lincoln Keenholz, play a game of football. Julian Sand, heck, he's going into year 2. He could stand to play some football against another team. And in fact, Syracuse head coach Fran Brown said, yeah, we're in. He tweeted back at Coach Prime, we'll come to Boulder for 3 days. So what would prevent this from being the case? Other than the NCAA bylaws, which hold no ground.
Yep, that's it. It's perfect almost that Deion Sanders is saying this too. Yeah. Because he's got cachet not only in the NFL, but now in college football, the way he's resurrected that Colorado program to being one of the nation's college football interests. And similarly, what Fran Brown's trying to do at Syracuse. I thought it was interesting a couple weeks ago, you had Ross Bjork on with Morning Juice, and he talked about that new governing body that was going to figure out what to do with NIL and with revenue sharing coming up in July. And I thought, well, if they're going to have a different body controlling the money than the NCAA, then the NCAA isn't going to have a damn thing to say about college football. And I think it's important that Deion is the guy saying this because he can keep saying it, and he will keep saying it so long as he thinks it's, quote, a tremendous idea. And the power brokers, not the NCAA anymore, because when you control the money, you control the power. And that committee of those 10 athletic directors that's going to figure out who's going to control the money and the monetary decisions, that's where the power is. And so I think it's important that all of this is kind of coming together at the right time to where you might see some real traction on this for next spring. Especially if there's desire by Fran Brown to take Syracuse halfway across the country.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll ever see that, right? Like a Colorado and a Syracuse. Maybe we'll have 2 coaches just chesty enough to do that. But I would think the obvious hold up here is just like we're getting rid of spring games, I think, is injury. You don't want to get any of your players hurt. And so I think that would be the thing where maybe you wouldn't have it. I feel like we talked about this a month or 2 ago, and we talked about the possibility of maybe Ohio State playing an OU, or maybe an Ohio State and a Bowling Green. Now that Eddie George is the coach up there, seems like a perfect mix there.
I think that to your injury point real quick, and then I'll let you get back to it, Bake. I think to your injury point, it's not anything the NFL worries about.
You can at that point because you got to play real football or something resembling it.
So I think like the ones, like the Caleb Downs, Jeremiah Smith, the ones, like those guys would not play in the spring game. They would play in incredibly guarded joint practices, which is what happens in the NFL. Like the ones go against the ones. So a couple of years ago, Philly was up in Cleveland, and it was Deshaun Watson, it was Nick Chubb, and they were going up against Sweat and that defense for the Brandon Graham, all those guys from Philly. They went head-to-head against them. They did it last year with Minnesota. Same thing. The ones went against the ones, but it was thud. No one went to the ground. Everybody on the lines took care of themselves, and it was fine. And then the game is more for the backups to get their run through it. And in this one, which is even different from the NFL model, you have, if there is some sort of an injury, you have all summer to heal. So unless it's something catastrophic, you'd be fine. Go ahead with the rest of your point.
I was just going to say, it seems like a great opportunity for both schools, though, to gain some kind of NIL money and advantage here to help out with your collectives, your paying of players, whatever it is. It seems like a win-win.
Yeah, I think that if for a place like here, you would not want to bring in the Ohios and the Bowling Greens. I think that's where people get hurt on the other end of it. I think that you'd want to be in the Big 12-ish world. So to me, that feels like a West Virginia. That feels like Pitt, obviously, is an ACC school, but that feels like Pitt. It feels like Cincinnati. You bring in those. There's plenty of them around here. You could bring Louisville up here. You could bring Kentucky up here. You could go down to Kentucky, whatever. You could do those type of things that would enhance it a little bit. Now, the pushback you would get is, but is West Virginia going to give up their spring game to come play you and yours? That's the challenge, I think, of it a little bit. Fran Brown is not worried about that at Syracuse. He's not worried about his spring game attendance. He's more than willing to go out there. And maybe you split the boat on it when you go to one place. If a team were to come in here, maybe you split the gate a little bit and give them a little juice.
Yeah, I think it has to be Power 4 on Power 4. I'm not sure how much Ohio State would get out of I need right now for Ohio State to, as long as Eddie George is at Bowling Green, invite the Falcons down to Ohio Stadium like every single season, make that a thing. Yeah. Because it's wonderful. Like everybody wins in this because you're not going to run the score up on a legend. But if Ohio State were to like scrimmage against Ohio State doesn't need to do that. But to get a team like a West Virginia, I think if you throw in a financial incentive for a school like West Virginia, Pitt, to have not exactly similar talent, but enough to where you're getting something out of practices and a scrimmage, because we've seen the games that Ohio State plays against OU. We've seen the games that Ohio State plays against the Bowling Greens of the world. They're not competitive.
No.
And you don't want to waste anybody's time because then we all kind of know like what it is.
Yeah, I think that one thing that I see in the NFL when I see this is you see two teams that really take care of each other. Like they're pros, right? 23 to 35 or whatever that age group is. And this is kids, 18 to 22 in most instances. Would kids take care of each other the way pros do? Because when the pros do the joint practices, no one's getting hurt. Every once in a while you'll have a fight or something like that. There was one, I remember the Browns were over in Indy, the preseason game where Andrew Luck it got out that he was retiring like during the game, and there was a bit of a fight that happened over there. But most of the time, and in all of the one-on-one stuff and the 7-on-7 stuff, they take care of each other. There's nobody who's trying to get anybody hurt. So could you coach kids up enough to do it? To me, it just seems like a no-brainer. It feels like it would be very easy to do. I think financially it would make a lot of sense. Your television partners would love it. I mean, they would absolutely love it. Big Fox televised our spring, we called it a spring game, our spring showcase last year. So they're dying for the content.
Yeah, ESPN2's doing Colorado's spring game.
Yeah.
I wonder, with like the spring, like that format, I mean, we're every month from here on out is going to be a big thing at the Horseshoe that you can sell tickets for, that you just need more to fill those NIL coffers. And I'm very thankful that Bill Belichick's at UNC now, because he can truly turn college into an NFL development system. Like we haven't had that before. Now that Belichick's involved, now that Deion Sanders is involved, truly you can get these kids properly prepared for the National Football League at a level that hasn't been done. So that's good.
That's good, yeah. Prime, you're right, though, in the sense of Prime is the right one to do this. And Colorado's the right place to do it, right? That wins, too. Provided they get a little bit of decent weather. It's a beautiful part of the country. Like if you're some kid in upstate New York going to Syracuse and we're flying out to Colorado to play a game on national TV, that seems like a win for everybody. So I hope something comes of this. I think he might be onto something in terms of a way to get – by the way, I think the coaches would get a lot out of it too. Deion's not just doing this for entertainment. He's doing this because he wants to get a little bit more out of his spring. And he knows that you can do that if you bring another team in as competition. Man, the NCAA – it's just, if you thought NIL was dicey, what that has been dicey. It's baby stuff alongside of what's coming. We'll get to details on that in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
I'm an old school Joe, and my philosophy is simple and effective. At the end of the day, it's not what you win or lose, it's what you save. And betting reduced juice at Prime Sports Ohio is the way to save money on every single bet. Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets, and be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
He opens his toolbox before he opens his wallet and believes you can fix anything with 20 minutes and some pride. He's Mr. DIY, and when he needs metal, he goes to metal supermarkets. Artists, hobbyists, machine shops, maintenance professionals, and welders all count on metal supermarkets for over 8,000 metal products, shapes, and grades. If it's metal, they've got it or can get it for you. Cut to any size and ready fast. Visit the family-owned franchise on North Wilson Road or Columbus at metalsupermarkets.com.
The Fan Poll is brought to you by Caster Connection. Visit CasterConnection.com to shop online or to work with our Caster Solution specialists.
Our top men are working on everything except this show.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
This is the story. I'm going to read it verbatim. Dan Murphy, we've had Dan on before on the program. This is from last night. Quote, the NCAA has agreed to permanently drop its rule prohibiting athletes from negotiating the terms of name, image, and likeness payments until after they have enrolled in school. The change is one of the terms of a legal settlement announced Monday between the NCAA and a group of state attorneys general who sued the association last year, claiming that the restriction on NIL negotiations violated federal antitrust law. The settlement, which still needs to be approved by the judge overseeing the case, marks another step forward as the college sports industry prepares to embrace a more professional business model in the months ahead. The NCAA's now abandoned rule was designed to keep schools and booster collectives from using NIL deals as a recruiting incentive for incoming high school athletes and players of the transfer portal. The schools and boosters were allowed to speak generally about the kind of financial opportunities that might be available on campus. They were prohibited from making a specific offer to an athlete until he or she was enrolled. Despite efforts to keep money from becoming an inducement, many coaches have publicly stated that NIL packages are a major factor in the decision-making process of recruits. Oh, you don't say. You don't say. The idea, I mean, just think about this from a practical purpose, fellas. Even if the NCAA was what it used to be, the big behemoth that everybody had to answer to. Remember the mentality we used to have. This is going back, but a decade ago. Please, sir, may I have another? We'll take we did it. One more bowl of porridge, please. We'll take it. Whatever, give us your tired, your weak, all of it. We will take whatever you give us. Just don't give us the death penalty. You can't hit us the way you hit SMU. Please go easy on us. To all of a sudden, after Tatgate and after Sandusky at Penn State, Miami football, North Carolina basketball said, we maybe did that, but why don't you prove it? Why don't you prove it?
Like they had a guy on FBI wiretap, and like a month later, they gave him a national championship trophy.
Fact, yes, at Kansas. And the reality is that they had no subpoena power. And so once they didn't have subpoena power, or once it was finally weaponized that they didn't have subpoena power, and that you had to actually prove it, nothing really has happened to anybody. Nothing significant. A postseason ban here or there, but very, very minimally. So even in an era, if you go back a decade when the NCAA was something to be feared, how in the blue hell would they have been able to prove that an NIL deal was not discussed in terms of specific financial terms? It's impossible. It's impossible to enforce. There is no way that you could say, well, you can talk about what opportunities are here, but you can't give them a dollar amount. How are you going to enforce that? You can have little Pinkertons at every campus in the world, making sure that they're in every room where NIL is discussed between a recruit and some sort of a one of these collectives. There's no way practically to do it. So this is what happens when you basically say, Jesus, take the wheel, but you don't believe in Jesus. That's what's happened here. And so everything that they tried to do, their intent on all of it, was all not thought out properly, was all never able to be enforced in any way possible. And now they've just taken any sort of attempt at controlling this out of the equation. So now it will be, what can you pay me? And those things will be negotiated before enrollment.
Which, this is what it's been, and we all know that, but I go back to not this most recent signing day for Ohio State, but the one before where Ryan Day almost hit the floor with his knees because they found out that Jeremiah Smith was signing because he was waiting to make sure all the I's and T's or all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed on his NIL deals. So, this is something that's been going on regardless. I guess I didn't even realize, and I knew the Tennessee thing, but, they were negotiating with Jeremiah Smith before he was enrolled.
Right. It was never enforceable. So now they just said it out loud.
And the other thing I thought about this is, in Ohio, the OHSAA has not allowed NIL. Some states all have for high school kids, but Ohio has not. Are they, one, I don't know how they enforce that at that level, but I would think that's coming, right? This would make that all on the up and up. If the schools, that's their way of recruiting now.
Well, I would think that at some point you will get litigation against the OHSAA saying, if my 13-year-old can make money on YouTube, why can't my 16-year-old make money playing basketball? That's how you lose all these. Is the whole idea is they are just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So, but yet there's a different set of rules for them. If a high school kid in the state of Ohio is in a rock band, let's just say they are, and they go around and play at a fun casual joint and do these types of things. Let's say they're talented enough and they can make money. Does that preclude them from being in the band? No. And so why should it preclude a basketball player from playing for the basketball program?
And it's different. A high school kid can go work whenever. College kids, they can only work so many times because of their commitments with school and everything and the sport itself. So, yeah, it's always been a little different there anyway. But
I think it all stems on the how opportunistic lawyers are with this, because I think it took so long for the NCAA and for student athletes under the NCAA's umbrellas because they weren't able to pay for that kind of lawyers. They weren't able to pay the legal fees. And then lawyers started jumping in and saying, hey, we'll do this for free. We'll just want a cut of that settlement. It does feel that it's bubbling for that in the state of Ohio. And all you need are some lawyers that are willing to do it pro bono at first, reach out, gather as many student athletes as they can and say, hey, we'll do the work. We'll get paid on the back end. But right now, all we're focused on is just putting the fear into them. And that took time with the NCAA. It took 30 years almost. And it finally got done. And so I would imagine, and boy, if they're not thinking about this, the OHSAA, they should be, because it feels like that's coming to it. It's just a kind of a slower build.
Well, look at what you're robbed of by not doing it. Okay? So I've talked about this kid for 3 years on the show. I saw him play in person. I was talking with a guy who trained LeBron's kids. This was 2 days ago. And he's with me that Darren Peterson is the best high school basketball player the state of Ohio has produced since LeBron James. He's that much of a sure thing. So that's saying something because we've produced a lot of them. Darren Peterson has not played for a team in Ohio the last 2 years. Can you imagine what the state tournament would have looked like if Darren Peterson was playing in it? Top 3 player in the country. Never played. He played his sophomore year at CVCA up in Northeast Ohio. Has not played in Ohio since. He's the best high school basketball player I've ever seen play in person. I never saw LeBron, but he's the best one I've ever seen play in person. And he's going to play at Kansas. He's a top 3 player in the country. By most people's accounts, he's rising on that list in terms of how good he is. And he wasn't here because he signed a 7-figure deal with Adidas, and he had to go play prep basketball somewhere to be able to accept it. Like, where would you rather have your Ohio kids play?
I'm sure the folks at UD Arena would like those extra ticket sales this coming weekend.
Well, Bacon, Jerry Easter, too. He's a Toledo kid. He's the one who signed with USC, but he's had to go the prep route, too, in order to be able to make it work from a high school standout. And by the way, like, recruiting in the state of Ohio in high school sports, how long's that been going on? You know,
whatever do you mean?
LeBron didn't get anything.
It's not the same here as it is in Cincinnati and in Northeast Ohio because of the GCL down in Cincinnati and because of all the private schools up in Northeast Ohio. So it's not Apple. It feels like here there isn't as much of it, but I did take notice of Columbus Academy. That's a squad. They're playing Fort Bake. When are they playing? They're in the D5 final?
They play Saturday morning at 10:45. They have Jason Singleton's kid on that team. Really good.
Yeah, I bet he is. I bet he is really good. So I think what it will take on the high school level around here is just the right people caring enough to sue. And then it'll be opened up. Because the one thing that is fact about any of this stuff when it comes to litigation, this goes back to how we started all of this, which is I need to know what I'm going to make in NIL before I enroll, right? It all comes down to when in front of a judge, wait a second, why do these guys have a different set of rules than everybody else? And that would be something that would apply as a high school level. It would apply at the college level. And that's I think, kind of the end of it is the NCAA is like, we cannot continue to pay for litigation. We've done it for a decade plus, and we lose. So let's call it what it is, which is something we've said for a decade. Certainly, as long as I've been doing, since 18, we've been talking about this. NFL model. Pay them, control them, contracts. That's the path. You do that, you got a chance. You don't do that, you have utter chaos, which is what we've had.
It would require you to be proactive.
They're not interested, are they?
Just so reactive.
They just react to everything, and they wait until it's too long, and then they pass it off as victory. It's not. These are not victories. These are all L's. They're all L's. I mean, if you're looking for proof in the L's, there are 18 teams in the Big Ten Conference. 10 of them are playing postseason basketball. 8 were invited to the NCAA tournament. 2 are in the crown. The rest can't even field teams to play postseason basketball because their rosters are being ravaged. That's what's going on. I mean, you want to talk about leaning. They always say, when I always use the iceberg, the captain, the driving into the iceberg on the Titanic. Apparently that's what they should have done, is like hit it head on. Maybe that I've gotten that a lot. People on social saying that, so that must be true. They should have hit it, should have steered into it as opposed to grazing it. So however you want the analogy, the NCAA is the Titanic and the giant iceberg is everything else, and they hit it, and what happened at the Titanic is what's happened to college athletics. That's where you're at. We hit 3 things on a Tuesday. Up next, Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
This Ohio State football spring practice report is brought to you locally on The Fan by Roosters and by your Ohio Kubota dealers.
Ohio State football spring practice report.
As the Buckeyes get into spring practice, Ohio State head coach Ryan Day was asked about the personnel on his team this year. Here's the Ohio State National Championship head coach.
As you look at our team, there's a group of guys that have played a lot of football. And those guys who have played a lot of football coming off of last year are, especially in the first half of spring and maybe 3/4 of the spring, are going to be, treated a little bit differently than some of the other guys. That's kind of one group. The next group are the guys that have played a lot of football but are now in a different role that nearly need to step up and become starters. And then you have guys that just got here that need a ton of football. This is going to be a different style of spring. We're still looking at the format of the spring game / showcase, but we're going to try to play as much football as we can that day.
This report was brought to you by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center and by Weber Grills. I'm Matt Andrews on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Imagine a tailgate. The heat of the flame, the sizzle of the burger, the squeeze of the ketchup. Grilling is essential to tailgating as the game itself. Weber Grills are there in the hours, minutes, and even seconds before kickoff. Before the best damn band in the land plays the battle cry, signaling it's time to take the field. Weber is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. This season, Weber created an officially licensed limited edition Ohio State grill inspired by the iconic Buckeye helmets. Find the best damn grill in the land at local Ohio retailers.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Cover more ground with the fast, durable Kubota Sidekick, featuring a gas-powered engine that delivers a top speed of 40 miles per hour, best-in-class acceleration and handling with cargo, and the strength to haul what needs hauling, all backed by a 2-year, 1,000-hour warranty. Get more done right with the Kubota Sidekick. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit BuckeyeKubotaDealers.com to find a dealer near you.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I totally get it. But the good news is there are alternatives to the CPAP machine. And Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Trust me, your spouse will thank you later. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and, of course, stops your snoring. That's the main point. It's quick and comfortable and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea, and now he's expanding his practice to better serve his patients with a brand new location in Marysville. I love Marysville. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. Do not delay. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. You can also visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. And now, sleepbettermarysville.com too.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
If you love a good pie analogy,
think of the cap as a pie. And once you take out one piece, there's less left for the next guy.
Then this is the radio show for you. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, Reese, what do you have on the poll today?
The Daily Fan Poll is sponsored by Caster Connection. Asks, do you think Jake Diebler and the Buckeyes should have accepted an invitation to the college basketball crown? 60% of you say no. 40% say yes. They should have accepted the invitation to the college basketball crown.
Yeah, I just don't think he had a roster.
Yeah, it's not about should.
Yeah, I think if he knew he had 10 kids, he would have played, you know? And I think there was something illuminating in that answer we played earlier that Big pointed out about when you say, you know, when they use the sickness as kind of the excuse for it all, meanwhile saying, yeah, but we would have tried to play in the NIT. Well, I think it's simply from a matter of fact of the NIT would have been here. It would have been this weekend, first 2 rounds, and it would have been before the portal opened. So you would have had a chance to kind of keep it all together at that point. And the fact that they looked into that and wanted that but didn't like the timing of the crown tells you kind of everything that you need to know about it, that you're right dab in the middle of an enormous portal period. for Jake. Just critical. So to me, it's not a matter of should, it's a matter of couldn't is probably the way that it goes. All right, time for 3 things on a Tuesday. Hit it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3 things.
So, it's number one for me. Things are coming due in tens, I've noticed. So it's been, I was noticing this specifically with my laptop. So I had the same phone and laptop for 10 years, which is remarkable, I guess, from the fact that I've had the same iPhone this long, but I have. And I've had the same laptop, MacBook Air, for this entire time. So it came to the time where I could sense it was starting to peter out. And so let's go get a new one. So go to my friendly neighborhood Costco. Sure enough, there they are. MacBook Airs were ready to go. They were actually $250 off. What a win. Well, it turns out it timed up that it worked out as the same time that I got my Costco rewards. So I have NBC and Bootsy with me on Saturday. We go into Costco. We scoop up the MacBook Air. Do you have it? Yes, we do. $250 off. We went and did our groceries and rounds and such, and we had so much Costco points that the Costco points paid for the groceries and the laptop. So full boat. So into the $1,000 back is the moral of the story. So NBC goes, well, Dad, you got that for free. And I said, no, I didn't get it for free. That is the amount that we shop at Costco. That's what allows for that, is we shop so much there that we buy the gas, all of it. And he goes, well, in a way you did. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, you're going to buy all that stuff anyway. And I said, that's a good point. That's a pretty good point. Now, I don't know I needed all of the 38 packs of Sun Chips. I threw out a lot of regulars in that. But the moral of the story is that's a pretty good return on a credit card to get that type of cash back.
You probably got to just show him the one scene in Schitt's Creek where they talk about the write-offs. He goes, well, who pays for that? It's a write-off. Well, yeah, but who pays for that? Like, it's not technically free.
There's the line in Seinfeld, too, where he goes, where Kramer goes to Jerry, well, you can just write it off. And Jerry goes, you don't even know what a write-off is. And Kramer goes, no, but they do.
The write-off people.
They know.
This reportedly from Cam Hayward earlier this morning asked about Aaron Rodgers. Quote, I ain't doing that darkness retreat. I don't need any of that crap. Either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't. That's simple. That's the pitch. If you want me to recruit, that's the recruiting pitch. Pittsburgh Steelers, if you want to be part of it, so be it. If you don't, no skin off my back, end quote.
I feel like that won't play well in Rodgers' camp, and I don't think
But
Cam
great
cares.
In that Steelers locker room.
Yep.
First thing for me, so the second half of the last season of Yellowstone became available on Peacock this weekend. So I spent part of my Sunday and part of yesterday catching up on that and watching the show. So the first part of the second half of the season, I was kind of into, and it was a little bit hard to follow because they went back in time and then they didn't really tell you they came forward in time again, but there was some suspense there, and I was kind of thinking, okay, what's going on here? And then the last couple of episodes happened, and I was like, what the heck is this? There's just not a lot of juice there, and I don't understand. Why'd they have to kill Colby?
This season one, I'm trying to know where this is. Your season one, or you're the second half of the final season.
Yeah, final season.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't understand where killing Colby, and why didn't we have a funeral for Colby?
I don't know.
It made no sense.
You had a cowboy funeral-esque thing.
Yeah, we were doing the episodic breakdown of that, and it was like, what are we doing here? Just lost his way. Lost his way big. It was a great show.
Because a horse has never, ever done that to a person, right?
Horses are not
in a stall.
Predators, no.
Just kicking him
First
to
of all,
death.
and someone, just to put a ribbon on it, like someone who knows as much as he would never get in there in that spot. No, you just would never be in that spot where that horse wasn't tied down. Number two for me, so it was Animal Day today at school, and they encouraged kids to dress with shirts or something that had animals on it or something like that. So Bootsy comes down for school today in his full Tigger Halloween costume. Full costume. And I said, buddy, I think that's ambitious. He's like, why? I think this is going to be awesome. I said, I love your spirit, but I think that this could lead to distraction throughout the day, not only for you and your teachers, but perhaps between you and your friends. So I don't know if I broke his spirit or not, but he ended up going with a Philly Water Dogs jersey instead, so that felt like a win to me. And upon dropping him off at school, I asked my wife, were there any other kids in full animal outfits? And she said just one. And so we chose wisely. A victory for us.
Yeah, had there been like a pack of Tigers or a pack of kids wearing
a full...
go
into that together.
Yeah. Speaking of animals, for the third year in a row, the French Bulldog took Columbus's top spot in the American Kennel Club's 2024 ranking of the most popular dog breed in the United States. So Columbus loves the French Bulldog. Golden Retriever, number 2. Number 3, Labrador Retriever. Number 4, German Shepherd. Number 5, a Poodle.
Frenchies are awesome, but they just have all sorts of health things, man. They're just all sorts, and the price for them is just crazy. So always try to find rescue if you can.
My second thing today, so this happened to me. I was going to a place, and I was going to turn left into said place. Well, as I got to where I needed to turn left, there was a car coming the other way. So I slowed down, obviously, to stop because I wasn't going to turn in front of this car. Well, then I see this car put their turn signal to turn right to go into the same place that I did. As they are slowing up to make the turn, then all of a sudden they stop and flash their lights at me.
Oh, they're coming for you, Bake.
Now, this is a very nice gesture, and if there was a lot of traffic on this road, yes, thank you very much for that. But you just slowed us both down by doing this. The rules of the road are if you're turning right, you have the right of way and you go, and then I turn left after you. So again, it was a very nice gesture, but please just follow the rules of the road unless there is a line of traffic.
Yeah. That's the old zipper merge rule right there that you went with. You hate to see it. Maybe we're someone who's dropped off at a lot of middle schools. Finally, number 3 for me, Beamsy's vengeance is unbelievable. So he got what he perceives to be a bad haircut over the weekend. And going into spring break, the other 2 were supposed to get haircuts too, and they all want this long mop look. And so I said, well, NBC doesn't have to get one because he's trying to grow it out really long for lacrosse. And that's fine. Just got to keep it off your face. Beamsy goes, if he does not get his haircut, I'm running away. I go, but you hated it. Why do you want that sort of anger at him? He goes, because he teases me all the time. And I said, okay, fair. So this is going to be an interesting truth-telling to Beamsy today that, in fact, NBC is not getting a haircut. It's not going to go well.
Yeah. How do you...
Not fair.
I guess if you're in the moment, like you just don't have the barber or whoever's cutting the hair show him. You just go, okay, we're done.
That's it. It's a wrap. Oh, no, he did get his
you got to go. So the baseball season started this morning. In case you missed it, Dodgers beat the Cubs 4-1 in the Tokyo Series game, first of 2. They're going to be doing it at the Tokyo Dome. Congratulations to both Dodgers on an early World Series win. They've got Game 2 tomorrow. Now, the ESPN says this thing was on Fox. So this morning I turned on to Fox. It's the news. It'll be on the CW Columbus tomorrow morning, Game 2, 6 a.m.
Oh, baby.
Final thing for me, fresh off of their sweet night last night at the Blue Jackets game, Rothman and Ice coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
There you go. Keep it right here. We're back tomorrow. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The 2 most mature people working at the radio station. And that's just because they wear pants.
The pervert and the skivvies.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays at noon.
The Fan.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
For a limited time at Verizon, you can get our best price ever. That's 4 lines on unlimited welcome for just $25 a line per month with autopay plus taxes and fees. You'll also get the new iPhone 16 Pro, 4 of them for the entire family when you trade in up to 4 phones from our top brands. That's a new phone for everyone, only on the network you can count on. Verizon. Visit a store today. 20 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply for phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
Get your furnace fixed fast. Call Care Heating and Cooling, 1-800-COOLING.
Bo Bishop here. High Bank Distillery Co. is the most awarded distillery in America at the 2024 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Stop by your local liquor store to grab a bottle, or the 3 restaurant locations in Gahanna, Grandview, or Westerville. Dine, drink, distill at High Bank.
Hi, Kevin. How's my engine doing?
Well, you tell me, little lady.
What?
Ma'am, an engine is delicate. It's got a lot of parts. Rub it together.
Oh, is that so?
Lube her up real nice, and she'll purr like a kitty cat.
How do you know so much about engines?
Well, I spent a lot of time under that hood.
Babe, she is running hot. Let's go. And next time, I get to play the mechanic.
Rev up the romance with Lion's Den, the official store of pleasure, passion, and romance.
Hey guys, it's Anthony Rothman. Let's talk about feeling your best. If you don't feel that same energy, strength, maybe you're feeling moody or it seems you've lost your drive with your partner, it could be low testosterone. You have to go see the true experts at Low T Center. Getting tested is fast and easy. I learned all about the personalized therapy at Low T Center and the results you can expect with customized TRT. So don't put it off any longer. Go to lowtcenter.com and book that appointment. lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
That's the sound of a Mountain Dew. And that's you enjoying its refreshing citrus kick. That's a cool breeze suddenly whistling through your hair.
Whoa!
That's you realizing you're now on a mountain.
This is epic!
That's you stating the obvious. That's you stepping up to the plate. That's you winning your kickball game.
Yes,
that's you taking another sip of your
Mountain Dew.
Do the Dew.
It's March, and you know what that means. Bracket season. You've crunched the numbers, picked your favorites, and maybe even taken a big gamble on that Cinderella team. But when it comes to your home, gambling is not an option. Spring storms are rolling in, bringing strong winds, heavy rain, and unpredictable weather. The question is your roof ready? At Newman Roofing, we don't leave anything up to chance. Whether you need a new roof, gutter replacement, or updated siding, our expert team is here to educate you, guide you, and give you the best options to fit your home's needs. No high-pressure sales, no surprises, just top-quality work from a team you can trust. That's why homeowners choose Newman Roofing, the #1 overall seed here in Columbus, because we deliver an unbeatable customer experience every single time. So, don't wait until the damage is done. Beat the storm before it ruins your big dance. Call 614-NEW-ROOF. That's 614-NEW-ROOF, or visit online at newmanroofing.com to schedule your spot this spring. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.